Hello, please enter your 6-digit conference code. Welcome to free conference calling. The conference has not started. If you are the host, please enter your 4-digit host code to open the conference. If you are not the host, please press the star key to connect to the conference and wait. We will now connect you to your call. Please say your name. Your host has yet to join. Thank you for waiting. Your host has yet to join. Thank you for waiting. We will now connect you to your call. The host has joined the conference.
When I said that you had 49,000 spent. So I want to record this, Mike?
Sure.
Conference recording started.
Okay, I'm going to call the meeting to order, and we'll get into a number of things here today. We're not running off an agenda, but we have the Budget Committee Chairman with us. So we're gonna entertain some of the work that Dave's been doing on keeping track on, some of our bigger ticket budget items. In attendance today, we have all three selectmen. Administrator Burke is here, and our lovely office, personnel, Ms. Chris, is here taking notes for us. So, Dave, you had, said you wanted to talk about some, billing, how to break out billing. So, on, labor versus material. What's your...
Oh, it wasn't breaking out labor versus materials, it was trying to prevent the duplicates in the road contractor. Because it's not an easy way, I went through all the invoices, and when you see all the different streets, you start asking yourself, we've been on Wilkerson Swamp 15 times. And the invoices are all mixed up, because they come in as they work them, they put them onto the file. So they're all mixed up, so then you start asking yourself, is going through, is this a duplicate bill? And it's hard to try and sort that out to see if that happens, because we have that problem of paying duplicate bills in the past, and we don't want to do that again, especially when you see an item that's 80% expended, should be only about 45% expended. So you know you've got a problem already. So the suggestion I gave, and I wasn't sure if you could do it, it was only a suggestion, put the date that the road work was done in another column so you could sort in the chart of accounts, in the budget to action, you could sort on that, then you could see if Wilkinson Swamp was done 414 5 times. And then you could go look at those and say, is that duplicate?
Right.
Which is what I did, and I didn't see duplicate. I went through it, I didn't see duplicate. And if you couldn't put a column in, maybe we just put it in the description, because that would help you. On the description, you've got the street numbers that you can sort on. You can sort on the invoices, so you know you don't have double invoices. You can sort on that. But if you have the description, you would be able to see the date also. And that would be another tool to help you to look at, do I got duplicates? It was only a suggestion, doesn't mean it had to be, because the date right now is the date that you entered in the bill. Which you have to do.
You've got the advantage on me because I know you came in and looked at the invoices, and I have not had a chance to come in and take the sub-account of all those invoices and apply them to the invoices. But I see where, like, confusion right off that sub-account would come in. Stevens Road, for example, on the 15th of May, there was a significant amount of work apparently done, it's a couple $1,000, and then again on the 15th of May, another couple $1,000. And the difference between the two is essentially $16.50.
Yeah.
So did somebody write the bill twice with a slight difference in the bill? So I can see what you're talking about. So any kind of advantage in accounting on the billings would be great. I don't know where it needs to happen. You're talking another step for Brian to factor in on keeping his books differently, or?
Are you looking at the details, same one I am?
I imagine I have mine was printed on 6/2.
Transaction detail, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So you can see that on the memo, the office puts in the road number, road name, or grading, right? And it comes out all the Evans.
Yeah.
And it has all the invoices under the number, right?
Yep.
So right now, Brian and Chris can sort that on the invoice, and you can see if you've got a double invoice. So that's one check that they can do to see if that invoice is running twice, to make sure you don't have a duplicate.
Can I stop just so QuickBooks is smart enough, if you put in the same invoice twice, it tells you already used this invoice.
Okay.
So if we enter the same
So that'll
invoice
get
twice, we know that. That happens.
My thought was in tracking an invoice that is sequential, but has been put in twice, because the billing department of our vendor might say, it's $4,120, and the nature of that company might be to turn around and say, there's another one, same thing, but the tag on another $20 because they missed something, reprint it, send it to us, and maybe it gets biased. So that's what I was focused on.
And that has happened.
Okay, so I'm not totally off.
That's correct.
Line. Okay, and Dave, you were seeing any kind of trends and issues when you went through this?
No. It's just that, you know, I mean, I was surprised to see, Molly Filbert, how many times we actually graded that road. It was, I mean, work on that road, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 days of work on Molly Filbert. Looked at the swamp once. You know, I was surprised that we did that much work on a couple roads, but I'm sure it was all justified. I mean, it all comes out. The only thing that needed to be done was the invoices needed to be categorized into material for the materials. That's why we were 80% spent. I mean, we're still on the high end. If we don't use the hauling fees, that means you're gonna have to take $7,800 less than the number I gave you for what's left over for the road contractor.
Right, move it into basically a labor charge.
Yeah. So that'll go back onto the road contractor. So that'll be $7,800 going the other way, which still it'll put you at about probably. Probably 58%, 55% spent as opposed to 45%.
Right.
Not over, just higher, because you're doing more work in the beginning.
Well, I'm focusing right now, I'm going through my items here on Molly Filbert, which a lot of money was spent.
Wasn't there some culverts that was done out there too? So there was a lot of extra work.
You're exactly right, Chuck. We did have some early season culvert work, so I'm figuring.
Washouts, right?
Well, that's the other one. We had, I believe it was 3 culverts replaced on Molly Filbert. We had grading done. We then did a washout that was up there at the top by Simon Hill, and that took a lot of material and then a certain amount of regrading, as well as what else did we do out there? Well, we put that final culvert in, which was a little more intensive than the others, so.
Yeah, so there's a few roads, I mean, I can see like Clough Granite, Molly Filbert, and obviously Pine River were the major roads by at least 8 times up to the Molly Filbert's, high number. So those were high number of roads that we worked on, just those 3 roads. I was shocked that those 3 roads took the majority of our budget.
Now you said, Molly, and what were the other 2?
Clough and Granite.
Okay, and, Granite always takes the most grading, as we know, along with Clough. And there was some work out there on Clough to keep free that big culvert of some beaver activity and some erosion. Granite Road, there was a culvert replaced out there.
Yeah, all the invoices had work that was being done, so I'm sure it was something that you guys authorized to get done or told us to do. So I just was surprised that majority of the budget was those 3 roads. That's what it was.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
And invoices, even though not every invoice will be just one road. The invoices that I looked at had multiple roads on them. So putting a service date next to it might help. I don't know. If clients don't think it will and the invoices cover it, that's fine. I'm good with that because we didn't have a problem.
I'm not saying it won't help. What I'm saying is, I don't believe QuickBooks will search it.
Yeah, no, I don't believe it will either. Not unless you had a different column. So we didn't have a duplicate, so it wasn't an issue, but it was just a concern for somebody going through the invoices, which I'm sure you can understand. You go through the invoices and they're stacked by the date of service. So as I'm spending the 3 hours to go through this thing, which it was, started hitting all Monticello, all different times, and I'm going, what the heck is going on here?
Well, what I can tell you is if I get the same road multiple times, I do look to make sure it's a different date than the work was done. But I'm not familiar enough with the roads or what the work is to know whether they did the same work twice, or if they only did it once and charged us twice. I don't know.
Yeah, and I couldn't tell that either.
All I can see when I look at it is it was two different dates the work was done.
And he's doing something on that road that seems reasonable.
Well,
Yeah, I couldn't tell.
I can't tell if it's reasonable, like, I don't know the roads well enough.
Well, yeah, but I mean, he's grading or ditching or something. I mean, that's reasonable work.
To me, that's the first thing I try to find is what date it was done on. That's why when you brought that up in that email, I thought it sounded.
Well, that's why I was hoping they could put a column in, so you could search on a date, which.
Because right now, we're just going by the date you pay it, right? Or the date it comes into the office.
Because you're talking to Bill?
Yeah.
The bill is, the way it used to get paid twice occasionally is that they not only send it to us via email, they mail it to us. So sometimes in the early years, I did not realize that was happening, and that's how sometimes they got paid twice.
And that's where the dates of work done would come in handy.
That's not happening anymore. Because Chris and I communicate on what comes in the mail and what comes on the internet, email, snail mail and email, because they send it both ways. I had no idea why. Well, yeah, I do. Snail mail can't carry the material slips, and they come attached to the ones that arrive in the mail.
So, as you stated, Dave, it took about 3 hours to go through, the invoices. That's why I haven't got around to that. I got the printout on the 2nd of June, and I haven't quite found the time to get in here to sit down for 3 hours and go match the invoices like you guys have done to see if I see anything stands out with the work that.
Well, that's why I tried to take the time, because I know you guys are tied up with other things. And so it just basically tells us that I think that's 7,800. You're gonna budget down 45, so you've got basically 38 left on the road, 38.5 left on the road contract, around 38,000.
Okay.
If you take that hauling fees off. That's up to you guys how you do it, because it's my understanding, if he's hauling materials, that goes under materials.
Well, it's an argument, to be.
So it's up to you guys. I mean, that's.
And I think what I'm gonna do is ask Ron, since he's billing it one way, and see what his understanding is of utilizing those lines, and just see if he has some constructive input to this conversation.
He has in his input, in his, his bill that he sends to them that they put in the invoice. If he's separating, if he's hauling dredging materials.
Right.
From the side of the road, as opposed to hauling in gravel, I can tell that looking almost all of them. I mean, somebody make an educated guess, but for some reason he's splitting it up. I don't know, I assume, so we know when he's hauling materials in.
Yeah, I'm sure that is. We want some kind of explanation of what's, on it, what's itemized.
Yeah, so that's where I was more under the impression that 78 would go, because that's more aligned closer what we normally spend.
Okay.
Even though we're a little heavier because of Molly Hill with those 3 roads, we're heavier than previous years. It's more in line of the materials for grading of what we've been doing. It's ultimately your call, because we've never actually defined it. I've always expected the hauling fee for the gravel was in material.
Well, now that you brought it up, we can consider it. We can talk to Ron about how he's billing it, and figure out what we want to do to narrow that down. I'm kind of thinking labor is labor, the trucking is labor, materials are simply materials. We can have a conversation about that, and I think I'll talk to Ron about how he's processing or developing the billing, and see what his what is he thinking? So that when we can all get on the same page with this. Yeah, so I'll follow up on some of that, and some of this stuff, you know, I just want to say, like you pointed out, Molly Philbrook, we didn't get to culverts last year. Quite frankly, we haven't been replacing culverts for some time. It's stockpiled knowing that, the culverts. So we had some repairs that were neglected. We didn't get to them last year for different reasons. But we had a washout on top of that hill in Simon Hill, Molly Philbrook section there. Culvert that's been way overdue to be upgraded and taken care of, which happened. So that one kind of caught us as more not just being maintenance. It was a washout, which, you know, that was unfortunate, cost extra money. And then, like you pointed out, Pine River. So when you add those things up, there's a chunk of money there that we really wouldn't have had general repairs. You know, we would have been in better shape, so.
No, I guess as the budget chair, I was disappointed that when it was highlighted that we have issues, the budget to actual, it wasn't jumped on and gone through. It took me to go through it. In previous years, everything, and the select board is the one that sets the rules on it. The town administrator, in the previous years, the budget to actual, the budget was the number one thing. You had to make sure your budget was correct. Now, I don't know if you set that goal for our town administrator, but he's burdened with so many different things. When I go to him with a budget item, he's tied up with a lot of other things, and that doesn't get to the forefront. To me, when you see something, 80%, and I'm giving you, this is wrong, it shouldn't take the budget chair to come in and straighten it out. Because right now, I can tell you, you're 33, 35% over on your phone. I sent it to the town administrator. He tells me because of a cost increase. Well, we've got the same person, the last year's previous bills are not over. We're budgeting correctly. Why is that? He doesn't have the time, I assume, to go in and correct that. So I'm gonna go in and look at the invoices because I'm not gonna stand for 35% over on every department's telephone bill. Something's wrong.
Well,
I mean,
I'd
is
like
the budget
I'd like
a priority?
I'd like to respond to you on that, Dave. Once we started this year, and there was a new chart of accounts and some work being developed as we went into the year. We did get to a point through town meeting with a new board coming out, and the focus was going to be on the budget. One slight hiccup we ran into was the COVID thing, which took a lot of time, planning, and adjustment, and Brian was getting remote access for our employees to work from, so there's a lot of scrambling on how to run transfer stations, not to run. So the budget did take, for review purposes, a bit of a backseat this year. After that, though, we've had several meetings on the budget because I wanted to make sure that every member of this board really was familiar with the budget, got Brian in. So we have been doing that. And as we have found things that needed to be looked into, we have brought that forward. And a lot of resolution has come from that. Also, on the 526 budget, that I have with me has all my markups on it and highlighted. As you know, I'm pretty liberal with my yellow highlighter. So we have those things in here, including telephone. Telephone's highlighted front page, both departments. I mean, it's not going missed. It's a matter of prioritizing getting to them. The telephone thing is one of those things where we figure we can get to it, and if there's a billing error with the telephone company, that can be resolved. Some of the bigger ticket items were more of a concern in the immediate, and certainly when the budget jumped, as it did in the beginning of June, we didn't see that weeks earlier on the road contract. A couple things there. We carried over about $15,000 on materials. Last I heard from the road contractor, he was working off that $15,000 and not applying it to the road, the $50,000 that was on the budget. So that was initial. Turns out, because there was not a good, understanding between the town and the road contractor with that wasn't really being factored in. So he held that back. We still have money in there, and he started billing us on materials. So there was a miscommunication there. When I saw the labor line, road maintenance, jump, that was new, that it had gone to that point, and that's when I asked for the chart of accounts. You got there first. It wasn't that it went unnoticed. It just couldn't get right into the office to resolve it. Part of the thing I did do was reach out, when we saw it climb a couple weeks ago, and I told the road maintenance contractor that as the calcium chloride goes down through the month of this month, we're hitting it early, by the way, a lot of people are calling, and it's, why is my road not done? Well, we usually do it at the end of June, so we're ahead of schedule. But at that point, I told them to put the brakes on road maintenance, unless it's an emergency, until we could catch up to where everything, the categories, what's
Yeah,
happening.
that's exactly my point, that we probably didn't need to do that.
Well-
Because 2 weeks ago, I sent the town administrator, I've been issued with that. If he was allowed the time and the priority for the budget, he would have easily gone in and did what I did and resolved that, so we didn't have to shut off the road contractor.
Well, the road contractor being shut off is twofold. We're faced with potential shortfalls this year, and the roads are in good shape. So we didn't want to just turn them loose to go out and fix things as he finds them right now. We wanted to kind of rein that in a little. As for Brian's time to chase all these things down, like I said, the demands on Brian's time this year have just been kind of out of control. Everybody in the office is doing everything they can. We've had some requests for 91As that are kind of odd and off the charts, which is requiring him to talk to our attorney on. We're trying to figure out different ways to do business here, phones, postage machines, things that have been in the works and been discussed for years have moved up to a priority level. And to Brian's credit, he's been on those. So it's kind of a perfect storm, and Brian doesn't live here all the time. And I mean, I can defend him that he's been putting in a lot of time and addressing a lot of problems. But if Brian would like to discuss his allotment of time, and you know, I'm happy to let him do that. But I really think.
I don't need to know his allotment of time. That is not my point.
Well, we've been adjusting a lot of different things.
It's obviously you guys, whatever you decide. I mean, I'm not trying to tell you that. I'm just telling you what my frustration is as the budget chair, trying to get things resolved, because I know we're coming into a point where we're gonna have revenue shortfalls. Dave,
My point here is we had a shared concern, and part of why we're here today for a work session was to dig into this. You know, you have a little bit of advantage on the rest of us as being able to bring your time to the forbearance of the immediate problem here, looking at this, than we could. I mean, everybody here has got up to their eyeballs in different things for the town that we're doing. So it wasn't neglected. It just, we're catching up, honestly. We're just catching up.
Well, that's what it's gonna take to get us caught up. I mean, I'm gonna do it.
And I appreciate
I'm not gonna sit there if Brian's too busy because of other commitments, and it's no fault of his, it's just a lot of commitment, that something needs to be looked at. I mean, I'm not gonna let it sit for a couple of weeks. I mean, I'm gonna come in and dig it, as long as you guys say I can still continue doing it.
Again, just trying to be fair to everybody in the room, we did have a conversation, you and I, about these, you know, some of these things going on, and the availability of time that was there to pursue it. And you volunteered to come in and do it, which I absolutely welcome the help in chasing this. So, I mean, I don't want it to sound like you're saying we're not trying, we're not doing our job, we're totally unaware. We're aware. It's you know, getting into the nuts and bolts of just, we're sitting there for 3 hours with the invoices. You have the advantage to be able to get that.
Yeah, I guess my frustration on that is, in all the other years that I've done this, when I bring something to the town administrator, it gets resolved fairly quickly because they know there's a budget issue.
Right.
You know, your town financial is the problem. I mean, I'm not sending him minuscule things, I'm sending him something that's a problem.
Well, do you have, other things besides, I mean, we're looking into a couple things like assessing.
Well, obviously, I had assessing is one of my things of why is it so low?
Well, that's
And
one,
you answered that question with the email you sent me.
oh, okay, because,
And the telephone is the other one that I have an issue with.
and that's one that's an ongoing discussion about updating the telephone, but we brought that to the forefront too in our last meeting, saying that the telephone was higher. The quick answer from Brian was he felt that there was an increase in the rates and was gonna look into that. So,
A 35% increase.
I don't know, I have to trust that
Well, I
Brian,
mean, that to me says we need to investigate.
and that's what we tasked Brian with that at our last meeting when we were able to review the budget, which was a work session. Highlighted that, and we wanted to know, is there a rate increase? Why is this where it
Well,
is?
my question on that then is did we ask Consolidated to give us more services than we've had in the previous years?
We just added another line, yeah, because of the COVID.
But
That's an additional charge a month.
but in general, not,
National charge a month?
but not to all departments though.
That's correct.
Correct, yeah.
All departments are up about 35%. So we added a line, but we didn't
Only
have
one line.
any other high-speed
No,
increase on anything.
no major changes have taken place yet. And like you said, the budget item, the budget lines are higher. So we asked Brian to look into why and how significant the rate increase is, if there's one, so that if does this really line
Yeah.
or not.
And if I could jump in.
Sure, Brian.
I haven't got that done yet. And that's because I was worried about your budget, and I'm trying to get the monies from the state. As the board knows, I had to put in extra hours a week ago just to try to get the spreadsheet to the state, because it got dropped on me on Wednesday and it was due on Friday.
Oh, I'm sure your plate's full, Brian. I mean, I understand that, but I just want you to know where I'm coming from because I know me and you talk quite a bit on things back and forth of different budgets, where I'm coming from. That's all.
Well, you know, which is the priority. There's the gopher funds and the intricacies of that, to get reimbursed on that level. And then there's FEMA related funds that Brian's working on with that, with the fire department, involves the PD. I mean, this isn't the average year, quite honestly,
And there's a significant amount of days that are being spent on that, not just hours. And it's all because of the COVID stuff.
And to try to make sure the town of Effingham gets its due money back on the cost of COVID-19.
Oh, yeah.
And we two separate items you have to deal with.
and also for the running of the business, we have ongoing issues, computer-wise. So when they're better now, but they weren't totally resolved because of things in the past. So Brian has been working with Lenhart Systems in here to get out some other, what was that, semantics or whatever?
Yeah.
Things, it one thing in, another thing that wouldn't come out. It was a nightmare.
We had Trend Micro.
Trend Micro.
Software, then the past administrator could not remember her password so that we could get to it. Trend Micro expired, and we couldn't get it out of the computers. We had to hire a guy that, actually, Lenhart didn't get that one out of the computers, I don't think. It was
wrong.
It was a guy that was here before Lenhart actually came in and got it out, but he had to go in and rewrite programs to get rid of Trend Micro, so then we could upgrade so we had good computer software. That's been
Well, that's another priority item to make sure that the computers are functioning, because then we can't really.
and then there
Well,
was
is that part of our contract?
No, that one was Chuck,
That's still some of that old stuff we're still fixing.
and Chuck brought in,
And because nothing was documented in technology, we couldn't just go in and say, oops, if we'd have had the password, it would be sign in, uninstall, done. Instead, it was several hours of work.
and there we go,
to go in and do it.
that was through Chuck's personal connections with a gentleman we signed, at Non-Disclosure Act, who has a large company to deal with software stuff. He's just on the other side of the country, and he's been lending us some assistance,
And he's been donating a shitload of time to us.
so, you know, it's, again, this is, we're as concerned about the budget and getting a handle on it, that's why we need to take a breath and look at it, but it's not been a normal year, it hasn't been the average year. There's been a tremendous amount of other things, and for better or worse, I think this board is a little more active than the average year of boards of selectmen in the past. So there's a lot of things that we have going on that we go to the office for support, even though we're taking those tasks and we're running with them. We need things from the office, which is another demand on everybody's time. Brian?
And Dave, the other thing I want to say is I look at the budget line items, highway, police, fire, and I look to see if the bottom line of that budget is anywhere near reasonable. Quite frankly, they all are. I just don't get quite down as deep in the weeds on breaking stuff out as quickly as you try to. And I apologize for that, but when I look at it first, the bottom line of the budget. Are we reasonable on the bottom line of the budget? And yes, we are. Matter of fact, I believe we're below the percentage. Last time we looked at it, it was 41.6% we should have been spent. And we had the bottom line of the budget, if you added in the 2 school payments we still owe, was under that 41.6%. Each one of the line items, there was only a couple of them that were over the 41.6, and we discussed that in length, those items and why they might be there. Some of it was because of contracts that are paid once a year, but frankly, I don't get terribly as excited as you do if one breakdown within a total budget is higher, but the total budget is within reason. I just don't get it. If the bottom line of that line item in the budget, like police or fire or highway, was way out of whack, I'm right to them saying there's something wrong with this. It's either my bookkeeping or we're overspending or we're doing something wrong. But when I looked at all those line items and we went over them, each one of them separately, very few of them are over the 41.6%. Now, because we're later in the year, I agree with you, about 45. But if I looked at them percentage-wise today, I suspect there's no more than 1 or 2 that are over that. And I suspect that if I add in the 2 school payments that we still owe, if I put those into that budget, because without those 2, we're only at 25%.
Yeah, and then I looked at that in the way it's calculating it. Some of it's trust fund money in there, and some of it's taken from the unreserved fund. You have to subtract all that stuff. But I agree with you, we are less than, we're in the 30s.
Yes, and so I've been right up front with the board, and we've discussed that at length going through the budget. So it's not the board now watching the budget, it's that we're not getting so far down into the weeds that we pick every single line item out. We talked about each one of them, and frankly, I was unaware that materials that we use for grading, I was under the impression materials used for grading went into grading. They didn't necessarily go into materials. But did I break every single one of them out? No, I did not, because when I looked at the road maintenance, I even think that was, what was it? You've got budget, you've got the disadvantage, you've got the sheet.
Oh, yeah, well.
I don't know what the road was, but it wasn't terribly over. And a lot of that over, would have been
The overall road contract? Overall?
yes.
I think the
And
point,
a lot of that was the Pine River culvert washout that was $10,000 plus, and we're still spending money trying to fix that.
I think the point Brian is trying to make, and I'm jumping on this with him actually, is that the budget wasn't out of line. We had some line items that were piquing our interest because of the ones we've discussed. But it wasn't like we were in crisis and all kinds of money just flew out the door unaccounted for. That's not what's happening. And when I go back to the beginning of May's budget, Dave, and I look at the telephone stuff, some of this stuff seemed to be pretty much in line, and only a few things were starting to look like there was a little bit off. And on the most recent budget, most of the departments, the telephones are in line. There's one actually that's kind of under. So,
One on the report I have.
And if I could talk about the telephones for a minute.
Well, wait a second, before we get off on that. I understand you taking a look at the bottom line. When I send something to say that road contractor budget is out 8% on there, but doesn't matter if the overall budget is still less than the percentage needed. It's telling you there's an issue. Now, could that issue be that you're double paying? Yes.
Is it?
I said it could be.
Is it? You said you went.
No, I'm using hypothetical value. So when I send you something to say that one's 80%, there's something wrong, because historically, all those budgets for years are put in and we know what they're gonna be charging. So could it be? Yes, it could be double charged. And same with assessing, if I send you an issue and saying, we typically don't see this low at this point, it's because something's wrong. Even though the overall budget is less on that department, I'm trying to give you a piece of information to say that we've got something wrong on that budget, which will affect it eventually in the end. So that's all I'm doing, is giving you that information. And I historically we corrected it normally when I brought it up. And I understand because of other commitments, that's not happening. It's just something that we have to work through, and it's gonna take more of my time to bring up the things to you that we need to correct, that's all.
so, just to point out to you, Dave, some of the smaller telephone lines are up, as far as smaller budgeted lines. But when I get down to the bigger lines, like PD, we seem to be pretty much in line. If anything, they might have had some innovative items take place over there, I'm not sure. But a big line item that doesn't jive is under fire. Because the telephone under the fire department is $1,800, and in the end of May, we were at like $560 basically. So that doesn't really line up. You would expect that to be well into the 800s. That potentially could be offsetting some of those other lines and put them more in line where they should be, as well as the solid waste collection, the transfer station. That phone line, that should probably be around $200 at that time, and it's under. It's at 29, call it 30%. So there's some stuff going on there that we again need to look at, because it's not all leveled out where it should be. So
I just have a clarification. The phone goes under phone. Where does Spectrum go? Does that go under the phone
Well,
too?
that's always a problem, first of all, and that was what I was going to
So we got Spectrum and Consolidated?
Oh, yeah, in almost all the buildings, yeah.
Spectrum is your internet service, Consolidated is your phone service.
I thought we were swapping phones over to Spectrum.
So the reason I'm asking is Randy's Spectrum and phone is like $150, $160 a month.
The problem is Spectrum does not send a good breakdown in the bill.
Correct.
So I don't know sometimes whether they're billing us for the IP addresses for the police department, or whether they're billing us the line charge for this building, and what they're billing out to the fire department. Because it's hard, you went through those,
Yeah.
so you can't really tell.
Spectrum varies the account number and the address in like the second or third page deep.
yeah.
It took me like an hour to find it the other day when I was trying to pull some stuff together for the proposal quotes. And that's when I discovered it's like in some of the cases it'll come in, the billing 1 month will come in a format. The next month, you got to look down through it again because for some reason they've changed how they've written it.
Well, I've had that sitting here with the folders going through saying, where is this bill supposed to be?
And the other problem is we don't budget for internet. So does that go under equipment and supplies, or does that go under your telephone bill? Where do I put that in the budget?
Like, that's a good one we should make a note of, so that we can break that out separately.
Now, if it-
What do you, right, Dave? I mean,
If it's this office's, under executive, I put it in computer.
okay, so yeah, no,
It's
that's,
not in telephone.
we probably need to give that some thought. That's another one on the list.
But
The
because,
other line items don't have that, so to tell you that it's definitely an increase in consolidated, Dave, I can't tell you right off the top. It may be an increase in Spectrum.
and Spectrum did increase their bills last fall.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
All the invoices might help,
Yeah, well, you know, these,
which I will.
I will give you the last month's worth of stuff, because I just put a report together on Friday. And it has all the latest month bills for Consolidated and Spectrum for the entire town. So, transfer station, fire department, library, care, got everything. Because I needed,
Any changes that needed to be from what the budget was?
yeah, we need to have a whole new system. We're right now totally fragmented with our process, with Spectrum here doing certain things. I mean, we've got 2 TV pieces being built for this building. I've never seen a TV turned on in this building, but we're paying for 2 units. With a router charge. Or modem charge rather, not a router, a modem charge. It's like,
The police department.
There's one in the police.
Police department is training or
But-
something.
regardless, what happens is we don't know what we got because it's fragmented. And moving forward, Brian's been working on it, and I've been helping Brian with the vendors to come up with a look at Spectrum, look at Consolidated, look at Genuity Networks out of Dover, come up with a new system. Because part of the other problem is our phone system in this building right now, because of COVID, is totally deficient. The people can't do their jobs correctly because of the amount of volume coming in on a daily basis. And that people aren't being served correctly.
That's why we had to add a line.
We can't do anything with a live webcam to be able to do something to record these meetings because we have enough bandwidth. So we're looking at all of those items right now. I found out the library is eligible for an FCC discount program. You have to apply once a year. But because of our rural nature of Effingham and our poverty and everything else we've got, we qualify for like a 60 to 65% monthly discount on services and equipment. Nobody knew that. So there is some work being done.
there's tons of behind the scene work being done. Because we get into something, we find something, and it's a deep dive that takes a lot of time, a lot of
You
research,
hope
a
it's
lot
10
of
minutes
calls.
to do it as soon as you lift the cover, you go, "Ah."
Once we see something in the budget that piques our interest, it just doesn't seem to be, Glenn, make a call. It just seems to be a project. It turns into a project. So, I mean, we're trying to stay abreast of it all. We really are. And the jump in, and I think if I look back in the budget, the jump from a month ago to the beginning of this month, that contractor line just went through the roof in that time frame. So,
Well, that's the whole reason
and
the fact of it is trying to make sure that, especially when that came out, we don't need to shut down the road contract if it isn't true.
well, we needed to put the brakes on the road contractor, and that was discussed long before, that was going back to the end of April or early May, saying, we're going to grind this down, we're gonna get the roads into a point, get the calcium on, and put the brakes on grading, and try to keep things at a minimum unless we have to go out and spend the money on the roads. We did a bunch of early season work on our culverts that have been neglected for years.
Yeah, but the point was, I did that because we had the hole, and 2 weeks prior to that, we had a huge increase, and I needed to find out why. And you need to know, do you need to take funds from somewhere else? Do you need to shut down? What do you need to do? I mean, if you're getting at that point of where the road contract is going over, because you're gonna spend the other money in the budget eventually. Whether that shows the overall budget is less right now, by the time you get to the end of the year, you're gonna spend all that money in that budget. If you kept on par with what we budgeted for.
Right.
Eventually, you're gonna.
Yeah,
You need to know right then that, do I need to pay something from another department, or do I need to put something down?
the budget isn't full of, bags of money that we can just, readily access.
Believe me, the budget committee in the last 5 years have pared that budget down pretty close to what the town runs at.
Yes, there's not a cushion, so, we were aware, and we knew that invoices in that last 3 weeks, withstanding, that we were putting the brakes on a lot of the activities because we're trying to be conservative, figuring the future is going to have some pitfalls this year. So it wasn't missed. And to Brian's end again, he knows that the board has been looking at this and was getting back to it. So rather than have him sit through a bunch of invoices, as he says, he has limited knowledge of the road system in here and just what's taking place out there. I think a lot of that on his plate would be kind of a waste of time. So he knows that I was planning to at least get back and go through these. Now, it's again, you had a little bit more of a luxury of time than I did to get in, and I know we all appreciate that you do that and you take the time to dig into these things and send up the warning flares when you see something. So I'm not gonna. I think we covered this unless you got items that you want us to focus on that you want to bring forward. But
No, I plan on still going over invoices, and as long as nobody has an objection to it.
we invited.
And my point to bring that up was just to show you that we had the problem with the road contractor. You really have either 45 of road contractor money and 17 of material, or you got 24 of material and 38 of road contractor. That's what you got. So you don't have to steal money from somewhere else right now or shut something down. That's what the effort was for.
And at first blush of your numbers, I'm going to look at that, contact Ron, consult with the rest of the board after I get his input on how he's billing us, and see how we want to take your numbers. And if we want to take those numbers, that $7,700, and say that moves from this line to that line, that's what we'll adjust and we'll go for it. Chuck?
But to help with Dave's question on the phone right now,
Yes.
because I'm willing to bet some of the overage it shows there is because the internet's been added to that line. Do we, personal opinion, phone and internet's all one line, it's not a separate line, because the companies are doing more of the joint work.
Maybe
And if we make the move to consolidate it, everything is on one line anyway. It's no more separate internet, it's all voice over internet protocol. When Dave gets done looking at what he's doing, I'm sure what he's gonna find is Spectrum went up in their bill, their monthly amount went up like November, December of last year. Mine went up like 14.
Okay.
So it's there. That would not have been able to be factored into the budget committee numbers because we didn't see it. Looking at what we want to do moving forward, as far as providing additional services in here, I'll copy Dave on what I sent to Brian Friday. I built a spreadsheet with everything we've got for information right now out of 2 vendors and what the current costs are, as well as the projected costs and the differences in the level of services and capabilities. They're night and day difference in the capability services for what's going to happen in the office. Pricing is not that bad. I originally thought it was like $300-400 a month. It's not. It's way, way less than that. But what it does is it gets us into the modern world. So, Dave, I'll copy you on that. We have one more quote to come in, and that spreadsheet will be ready to go. And that's from a company called Genuity Networks out of Dover. They were a referral from Lenhart. They're a private aggregator of internet services. I did confirm on Friday afternoon, they cannot provide internet up here. The service contract, once consolidated, doesn't allow them up this far. But I've been assured by them that their telephone quote is going to be extremely competitive compared to either Spectrum or Consolidated. So once we have the information in, it'll be in a spreadsheet format. We can take a look at it. I'll send you the copy of all the bills because I had to compile them and send them to all these guys for their quotes. And it'll show you the history of what's going down. But I'm willing to bet when you look at your numbers on this thing, it's because there's some internet stuff that's in on that telephone line.
So when you're going through this, if I may,
Sure.
when you're going through this contract, is it it gonna be service to the whole town?
Yes.
Okay, so they're gonna bid on a one price for the service?
No, it's,
Fire department, police?
each location is a different price tag depending upon the services needed.
And I want
But it'll be one vendor. That's the key thing.
So
One,
it'll be one bid, just broke down,
yeah, that's what we got right now.
it'll be one bid broke down.
Yep.
So, it's possible that we can remove telephone from everybody and put it all on the executive, like we wanted to a few years ago.
well, hold on, I'm thinking.
I'm not sure I want to do that.
Yeah, I'm not sure I wanna do that because as Chuck says, there's gonna be independent, like billing lines for each facility. And it's not for the town, it's for the town of Effingham's municipal buildings, not the town, you, me, and everybody else.
And just use this building as an example. The police department has to be totally carved out on a separate system. So even though it's gonna come in on one wire, it's gonna get carved out in the back room separately. And I don't think we wanna combine all that into one. I think we wanna create a true picture of what does it cost us for police? What does it cost us for fire? And aggregating it all together, I don't think is the way to do it.
And I'll jump in on that too, is when, like Chuck said, there might be special things available, deals for the, library. The police have to be separated. We could potentially have a situation where the fire department, something comes up for them. So I think keeping it separated might serve us better in the long run. But that's, the other thing I would think of is maybe we shouldn't call it telephone or internet. Maybe we should call it like communication services or something, just to incorporate the different things that would be in there. Otherwise, you'd have to separate it out, internet, telephone. But, you know, we can all consider what we want to see on that as the information comes in, how it's gonna be.
So when Brian's entering right now, under telephone, we're just gonna enter consolidated under telephone. Anything that's with Spectrum gets entered underneath computer services for this year?
I guess if that's where it is, since if that's what we're doing this year. And
I don't think we've got anything.
Well, I mean, is that how it, what were we doing before that put these things in those categories? This is one of the things going back when the ball came out and it said, here's the ball of, you know, this line. And nobody would know what was in that line. And Dave, you and I have been through it and we've gone and said, well, wait a minute. What's in that chart of accounts line? How many things get under there that just get accounted for as whatever we're calling that line? And then people, budget committee, selectmen, we didn't know, Claudia knew what she was putting in there, but nobody else really knew what we were putting in there. So what were we doing in the past? Were we using internet under computer service?
I don't know.
Okay, so Dave.
And we also, that was including the person that we had the maintenance the system, which was negligible. It was very cheap.
Yeah, and then we
That
found
was all
out,
under computer services.
we found out we needed to upgrade from that service, but.
So all of Spectrum is supposed to go under your computer services budget?
Mr. Strauss, is that,
Well, that's the way it was.
That's
That was under computer services. So things are obviously evolving significantly from when we did the budget last October.
No, all we're doing is we're digging up more stuff. As we open up more covers and look at stuff, we're discovering stuff.
Yeah.
I was told by, I believe you, Dave, but I'm not sure, that when we had to get the separate IP addresses for the police department, because of that connection now directly with the sheriff's office, that went under their budget. Well, that's a Spectrum bill I get, with it not being broken down. It just comes in as a Spectrum bill.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the fire department line items. There is no capability to list Spectrum in there other than under telephone.
I don't think there is under police either.
computer services would probably, if you
No,
have.
I think we consolidated it all.
No, there's nothing under police services, you're right.
Consolidated it all under executive.
Okay, so,
That was a few years ago.
Well, I have to tell you, when I put the numbers together for everybody, I did not, on that line, put in Spectrum's bills. I did not give you those bills on that line item. Because frankly, I was taught by the previous town administrators, they went in the telephone budget.
Why can't you just do a phone and internet? What?
Communication services.
Yeah.
Change the line item, communication services.
It's not.
No, it doesn't mean we can't change something, but
Right.
we're just trying to make sure we have what it is right now.
We've just gotten a little more awareness of what's taking place that people weren't fully, how these
And then we
systems.
have to evolve this budget season.
Yeah, exactly. So, as Chuck was saying, basically, we've been turning over rocks and finding out, who knew that was under that rock?
And frankly, I don't care what line item you put in.
Right, nobody
Just
does.
tell me which one it is and stay consistent. That's all I ask.
Well, for our end, we need to have line items developed that accurately share costs, certainly costs that are growing as technology needs and stuff, so we can monitor, track, and budget correctly, so. Glenn?
Can you scan in these, the bills that you receive, these invoices that come in and attach them to in QuickBooks? Is that a possibility?
The answer to that is yes. The answer to that is it probably adds 3 hours of work per week.
As to why do we need to scan them in?
I don't, in the greatest scheme of things, that would be the best thing to do because you could eliminate a lot of file cabinets. But you're gonna have to add time to do that.
Well, then you
We'll
have
just put
an
more
answer.
staff on it, we can do those kinds of
You
things.
have a click-on connection to what is in that line.
Hey, everybody's only working 30 hours a week now, let's just add another 5 hours a week.
So, I think what we have here is we tend to have those records just filed for the year and then they move out, so.
Well, they move into storage,
Right, for.
which we're also working on because there's not enough storage here, so we're now going through trying to determine what records we can get rid of.
Well, that's an
We can retain them as long as we do.
that's an ongoing municipal function anyway, so.
Well, it's been ongoing since I got here. I don't think it was ongoing before that, but.
So last year, we got rid of about 20 boxes.
Yeah, there was considerable amount of boxes before you got here, it was 20-something, I know, I was involved in it. All right, so obviously, the budget is an ongoing thing. We got the phone issue being looked into, communications services, as we'll probably call it at some point. The review of the contractors' lines, I'm following up on that, and I appreciate your efforts to kind of sort that out so that we weren't like going off a cliff on one budget line. So I'll follow up with Mr. Evans on that. So is there anything else under the budget that we need to discuss today, or are we gonna move on to some of the other items that we had in front of us? Anybody? Dave, did you?
Just the one last thing is, I'm keeping track, Deanna, of what's coming in for revenues, and I'll update you if I see anything crazy, but I'm sure you've just seen some of that too, and I'm just we need to keep track of that, because this is the month to me that's gonna tell us whether or not, and Brian and I have discussed this, I've got his worst case figures, and I've got my worst case figures. That's stuff that you'll need to know whether or not you implement some slowdown on certain things, or you don't implement any slowdown, and we're good, and we can push the button on everything we need to.
So on that note, I'll just give you a piece of information that I looked into, and it was probably in the last municipal, NHMA, what is that little bulletin they send out, right? So if you went through that, they had in there, the state's position on meals and rooms taxes and block grants, which I think mostly comes from gas tax. We get, as you and I know, Dave, 4 payments for the block grant for highways throughout the course of the year. There's a 20% or 20%, and then 2 30%, if I remember correctly, 4 times a year. And then at the end of the year, typically December, you get the meals and rooms tax. My initial concern was, were we going to see that money in whole or in part now, because it gets factored into your tax rate. It helps set the tax rate, almost 95 cents or so, but roughly on $1, out of for your taxes. Anyway, so in there, it spells out the process. So what they do is they take last year's income from meals and rooms and gas taxes, and that's what they base your allotment for this year. So as I read it, it seems to indicate that the money, those monies that get allocated to the towns for this year were already received by the state. So they're not dependent on the money that could be affected by COVID.
But we need to take it into account for next year's budget.
Well, next year, the governor's budget will tell us what they provide those numbers. So that's something to be aware of, because if those numbers get tapped on or quartered on meals and rooms, which, you know, or wiped out completely, you know, you're looking at a $50 increase on your tax rate just on meals and rooms potentially that we can't, you know, it's out of our control. So just wanted you to know where that came from and what the likelihood is to be affected this year, which looks like it shouldn't be.
United got the conflicting of that.
Oh, look at the,
But I'll go on and then I say,
yeah, bulletin 24, I think, Dave.
I agree with the conflicting of it, but that doesn't matter. As long as it appears that we're gonna get it, the state should let us know anyway.
Well, that's what it looks like. I'm not guaranteeing anything. All right, so if that's the budget stuff for today, we'll move on to some of our other issues.
You want me here, or you?
You're welcome to stay. You're here. If you want to stay, stay. You got things to do, places to go. Don't let us stop you. I will turn in, for the records, to Christine here, a annual facilities report for solid waste. I'm sending that off to Michael Nork at DES. That should go in our file for the transfer station. That should be kept for the municipality. Sir, Brian.
You keep it. We've done some email exchange. I have not seen an ambulance report. And I believe, the last I talked to Christine on Thursday, she had not seen one yet either. Is that correct?
Right.
I reached out to getting your email on Sunday. Thank you for sending an email on Sunday and monitoring the town. I reached out to John Hatch and said that. And so,
And he sent it, you said?
I asked him about it, and I inquired, and he sent me one. I asked him if this hasn't gotten to where it's supposed to go, send it to me anyway. So I got it. I think I'll have to find out if he's using an old email address or not.
Oh, it could be.
So that's what struck me once I got it. And the only hesitation I have in forwarding this at this moment is it looked like the version he sent me, when you go open it up, you can do enable editing. So I sent him back a note saying,
We'd like a PDF.
Yeah, you might want to. So I think that's either going to be forthcoming, or I'll get it from him, or I'm going to change them into a PDF form and I can forward them. I just don't want. Well, it opened up on Word, and I just didn't want to send out something that could be manipulated.
Editable, yeah.
Yeah. So I will say, just as a quick scan of it this morning, not that, spend all my time on this, like Chuck, but I scanned it through it, and we are running as the number 3 consumer of services here in Effingham.
Oh,
Eaton, I think they had like maybe 2 calls or 3 calls in the last 2 months. So Effingham had 47. Ossipee by far is the leader, and Tamworth is somewhere at like half the level of Ossipee, but we're outpacing Freedom pretty handily, probably. I think they were in the low 30s.
And John, I actually, on Brian's behalf, reached out to John when he was doing that COVID report, like Thursday night, and Brian needs the answer by Friday morning.
Yep, saw that.
Around how many COVID cases were part of our April ambulance runs. It was 0. So I did send John a thank you very much for kind of doing that extra really quick number for us.
I need Ed to determine whether I could bill it to the Gophers fund to get money back.
Yep. So that will be forthcoming, and if it isn't here by tomorrow, I should have that changed over tonight.
Okay, I just wanted to touch base with you that I had not got it.
Well, there's a long.
Is it a Word doc that you got?
It's editable. I mean.
No, but when you open it up in Word or Excel?
It opened up in Word.
Okay. All you gotta do is save as,
Yeah,
down at the bottom of your screen, change it to PDF,
I was doing that.
and that'll lock everything. You won't be able to change the thing unless you got
Right.
special software.
I was doing that, downloading them as documents, and 3 of them were listed different than the other 3 as far as how many megs that it was
Oh, yeah.
showing 0,
Oh,
and
yeah.
like, but I was running out of time to get my ducks in a row to get here, and I'll get back to this.
Okay, cool.
I was doing some other research items.
Yeah, he should be sending PDF only.
I sent them that, and
Yeah.
thanked me for the, oh, yeah.
Somebody that was in charge of doing that wasn't thinking.
Well, I think, they were batting that around because the report, I guess initially when it got to him and I was looking for it, had so much information in it and so many terminologies that are in the world of that business that he said the laymen are never gonna be able to read this thing, so they sent that back for some editing and revision. It's a lot easier to follow now, I'm sure. At least I was able to follow it, so it can't be that hard because I don't live in that world. I know we were going to discuss a couple things here. Personnel policy, I think was the leading one. There was some stuff on oil, collection options on what we were gonna do there. So, what do you think, are we prepared to go into what there, Chuck? I see you've got some paperwork in your hand, what do you?
We are, I just wanna make sure the initial we need to do to the 1 page of the Bailey Road contract
Oh, right,
was sent over, and I just wanna make sure Brian includes it tomorrow so we can initial it in our selectmen's meeting.
yeah. I have been working on the document there. Do you remember if they said it had to go in electronically as well as the Governor's Council did hard copy? I'm thinking everything's probably gonna go electronic.
I don't know on yours, but I know for the LTIP grant,
Yeah,
specifically, everything is electronic, no hard copy. I have to send in some signature documents post the filing date,
yeah.
but normally you had to send everything in as well, electronic and paper copy, and they did away with 99% of paper copies.
I'll follow up with Katie Zink on, as I finish going through what I've got left. Okay, are we going into personnel policy? Is that what we're prepared to do?
I got cemetery, I got oil waste, you dive wherever you wanna dive.
Go try to.
Fire department, alarm policy.
Steve told me it did.
Okay. All right, then, since Brian's stepping out to do some printing, why don't we go through the cemetery stuff, Chuck, real quick?
I forwarded to all of you the 3 pieces of information that I had, pulled together
Yeah.
from the internet search. Actually, I guess it was 4 things I sent. In looking at different specialized sites around the country, it looks like if you're in a more metropolitan area, plot costs are anywhere from $1,000 to $3,000-4,000. In several of the internet documents I read from different burial websites and those kind of specialty websites, in rural areas, they were saying basically the price tags are anywhere from $200 to $2,000, but on the lower end in the rural area. I pulled a copy of Nottingham, New Hampshire from 1998, and they were charging $200 at that time. So that's like 20 years ago. They were doing double what we're doing today. One of the sites did say, from a consumer standpoint, make sure you consider how the cemetery is charging for not only the plot, but the ongoing maintenance and upkeep of the plot. And at least one of those sites, basically, when somebody came in to purchase, they were purchasing a plot, and there was a second number which was regarding care, and the numbers were like in the $200, $300, $500 range. They weren't big numbers. But it did mean that the total cost of a plot was up in the $400 to $500 to $550 range. I'm not sure we need to go that high, but I am definitely sure $100 is not where we need to be in a new plot. I would say somewhere in like $350 would be, based on the information I saw on the internet, based kind of knowing where we are and what we're doing. Something is low, but definitely more than what we've got.
I noticed the long-term care aspect getting put in there. And like you said, I'm not sure that fits how this town runs and
No.
all like that. And I don't think it existed in any of the previous documentation for, plots that we've sold. So we'd be starting something new, which I kinda, hesitate to start something new. Tom?
Isn't that a perpetual care cemetery?
Yeah, we do maintain
So
it.
have we seen the original documents from like when you buy a deed, 'cause most, like I know on this one up here, it's right in your deed,
Yeah.
all written up there.
Well, this is kind of like, here's the policy for Nottingham, and it does mention the deeds and stuff, and I've not seen anything, so I don't know how we're managing that.
Would you like me to get one?
Sure, Chris. I think we don't need to essentially do that like the independent privately held cemeteries, because we're a town cemetery. I think it goes without needing to be stated that if the care is ongoing and
Yeah.
perpetual, it's a municipal cemetery.
I think it's supposed to state it in the deed, it's perpetual care or not.
Again, I think there might be a distinction between privately held cemeteries and public held. That's my guess. I don't
Yeah.
know that as a fact.
And so the other thing I thought was interesting too is, what is your written guideline for what you allow in that area that's purchased? So, can I put up a mausoleum? Well, that's a lot bigger space than a coffin so do you charge differently for different size plots? And it's like, ooh, I hadn't even thought about that. It's like,
I don't think we sell them. I think we have standard size here.
Do we have old documentation on the cemetery, do you
Sure.
know?
Yeah.
When it's stated in there,
Well, Christine's going,
Hopefully.
not pulling the whole file, but we have information. So again, I think trying to, go too far and start adding things into what we have
I like to keep it simple.
That's where I'd like to be, because as we were telling Dave Strauss here, that we've got so many irons in the fire. Just how far you wanna go with something that,
that's why I wanna see if it's already in the documents that perpetual care is part of your cost of government.
Well, even if it's not, we own it.
yeah, I don't know
We're
that
gonna
that's.
change that? If it is now, perpetual care, how would you change it considering the people?
No. I don't wanna get involved with two different
Right.
pricing structures.
Right,
One price structure, here's your plot, $350.
And then
And it includes, because it's a town cemetery, we basically maintain the cemetery.
I think that needs to be included in the deed though, right?
I don't.
I'm not sure they get a
Reality?
deed, I'm not sure they get a deed in ours.
I don't think so, because it's a municipal cemetery, not privately held, but you're certainly welcome to look into that, and then you can adjust deeds going forward that way. It doesn't change how it affects the town.
Right.
So therefore I don't see the point. The town is going to have perpetual care. That goes to the purchaser. Along with what you're saying, Chuck, price point wise, I know we must have sold about 15 cemetery plots, which, in the last year and a half, which is a banner,
Fail.
right. So had we charged, say, $300, it would have been, another $3,000 for that said care, conceivably. But in putting together a little list of my hot button items here, cemetery prices were on there, and I pulled a number out of the air based on the information you provided, and I had 300. So
Okay.
we're both kind of pretty close on where we,
I'm good.
which is. But I do think we're gonna need a public hearing to make a price change.
Yep.
I haven't looked that up, but I think if we just did it, no matter what, is the way to go, and it checks that box off.
Yeah, it already says it in the deed.
Well, there you go. Oh, all right.
Perpetual care is included.
Well, then don't write anything up.
Well, this isn't a deed, this is a contract.
Right.
So a deed is,
Agreement.
yeah, but a deed is something that's filed, this is not filed.
Oh, all right.
It's just things in our office.
Yeah, but we already stated the fact in the contract, right?
Yep.
It was not a concern on my end, I figured that was.
I did too.
So, when we have our next hearing for items, like the fire policies that we're looking at, the changes, we can probably put this.
Put this in at the same time.
And now that has come up, the idea of, hearings, Chris had sent out a notice to see if we'd approve, and I had some thoughts about it, because if you're gonna have a public hearing, you need to take public input, and the folks in town need to have a way to talk to us in the moment. And sending emails in or call the office ahead of time is not satisfactory, in my opinion. So, since we were looking to do this during the day, roughly 11 o'clock, how comfortable are we with having it out behind the building here? We could have chairs out with a big separation and address the one issue we're talking about, which is to accept funds for the Snow Road Bridge up to essentially $250,000 or more. Because if we did big spacing, maybe we could do it that way. Otherwise, we don't have I don't know of a good way to make this available to the folks in town unless it's through technology on a computer.
Well, we can actually open up the lines for anybody that dials in to speak.
Okay.
We just ask them to identify who they are and what's your issue. The negative in that, because we're doing a free service, not a service with more bells and whistles, if somebody's got 5 kids playing in the background or somebody's screaming next to one of the phones when you do open mic, that's all you're gonna hear.
Right.
You won't be able to hear the person actually doing it. So it's a small risk to basically say, okay, we're willing to open up all the lines, and we'll just ask people, put your phone on mute unless you're gonna be speaking at a later date. And some people will comply and some won't.
Any other thoughts?
I had mentioned thought about the outdoor public, meeting anyway.
I could count on the fact that it would be rain-free.
Well, we
I
could
would
put
be more in line to do that.
we could put a rain date in.
I think it would be a good test too, if we need something like this down the road, you know? It's not expecting a whole lot of people with it, right? It might just be.
How about this as a blend? We can have a call in, or, have an alternate. Go outside? Yeah? Yeah? All right.
Try it. Try it with a rain date.
Yeah.
And we'll just, put 10 or 15 chairs out there, 20 chairs out there.
Yeah, we can access the chairs from right through here. So let's change the advertisement to be an outdoor, behind the municipal building, outdoor,
Public hearing.
public hearing,
BYOB.
Okay.
social distancing is.
And rain date the following week?
Yeah.
Or
Or the following day.
The following day. Well,
Yeah, what's the date on that? The 23rd, I think?
what's your date? You gotta have everything in by.
23rd,
I thought the
Tuesday.
23rd was our.
What do you want, outdoor behind 68 School Street?
Yep,
Can I make a suggestion?
sure.
You put maybe 3 rain dates on, so that if you get a storm that's a 2-day storm, you
Okay.
don't have to start the process over, because you do have the time limit.
Yeah, that's where I was going. I thought you said the 23rd was right near our drop dead that we need to send that in.
Well, I don't actually know, so I figured do the 23rd, the 24th, and Friday's the 26th, so that's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday,
Perfect.
today. Get it in and,
Considering the amount of people that come to these hearings, would it be appropriate just to open up this room for that day?
no, we're keeping the building clean the best we can until we get the green light, and until all the office staff is weighed in. We're not gonna shoot from the hip on that one. I did get an email, or I got some kind of contact from someone wanting to know when we're gonna open the building up.
Well, it's because some of the towns and cities are beginning to open up June 1st. And NHMA did a webcast last week, which I sent in all with Grace.
Yep.
Like 2 hours. And it talked about what certain towns and cities are doing relative to being able to go in and start opening up. And what really drove down, they attached the Londonderry plan, which is a four-page plan. The bulk of what was in that plan, we could easily implement. There's a couple things we couldn't, but they don't apply to us either. But it was basically signage on the floors, signage on the doors, one person in at a time, You can go stuff by appointment, there's different ways to do it.
Most of that, I thought we were already really doing most of the steps outside of letting somebody in.
That's correct, we are.
So and on that, my response was that most of the activity from the public really goes to Deanna's, the town clerk tax collector's window. So my response was that Deanna was looking into this and has been working on some of that with Brian. I know there's discussions. So for me, I think she plays a central role in that decision.
Yep.
So until we hear more or have the time to sit with her to work through just where we need to go with this, I think we do business as usual, but we should have some time at the end.
Well, I'm thinking we should have another work session within a week or two and start that, because as more towns and cities
Sure.
open up, we're gonna get more pressure to do something.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I haven't, unfortunately, been keeping up with where's the state going with new COVID cases? Have we had an uptick since the folks from other states are now influx for the summer?
We had, last Thursday, I think, we had 50 new ones.
Oh, really?
But also,
We had a day or two where we didn't have any deaths, so.
and also, there's been a lot of, you know, as you know, protests around, right? Well, there's a lot of going on in New Hampshire, not for that specific case, but another case triggered them. They've been having in Wolfboro over the weekend, a big one. They're having Conway on Friday, a big one. Because similar happened to a vehicle in Albany, pulled over by the state police here. And so all these people together, close, I'm not wearing masks and all, they figure there's gonna be an uptick in cases with all these people congregated doing their protesting.
Well, I think then, we'll, like Chuck said, we'll probably have,
If we've got meetings scheduled and we're working on the process, that's progress.
oh yeah, well, I'll align with you with saying I think that we need to have that discussion with Brian and Deanna into what we want to do to provide limited access to the public in the building and take the temperature of where people are with that, who have to work in this environment, and see if we can't work to that end. If we're seeing things that it's like, you know what, I don't really care what other communities are doing, there's the rate of COVID cases is on the rise, say what you will, maybe we rethink it. Maybe we see how we're processing the needs of the public. So that's one thing. I did also see there was an email regarding tax bills to go quarterly. Somebody from Riverview Circle sent out with it.
Oh, yeah, that was this morning.
That was this one. I think a response there would be that, every time we send out bills, there's a cost. And by bulk mailing twice a year, we probably save money and labor on that. But people can pay on their tax bill at any point in time. You have the money quarterly, you can come in and make early payments. So, if there's a response, maybe it's along those lines.
I also think quarterly payments requires a vote of the town meeting. It requires something other than just saying,
Right.
you know, have quarterly.
I actually asked Deanna about this last year, because I wanted to look at that. She said there's less than a handful of towns and cities in the whole state
Yeah, I'm not.
that even do it. So from that standpoint, it's like, okay.
You know, you're gonna get pushed back no matter what. And now I've gotta write 4 checks a year. Oh my God. So where's this, you know?
But I think we could market if people wanted to pay monthly, if that's how they do their budgeting,
Right.
or the way their income comes through the door and the way they spend. There is nothing to say that they cannot write a check
You can add,
with their estimated amount for that next.
We
half
have
year.
people in Effingham
that
that
do
do
that, absolutely.
Every week?
So that probably is the, for this particular individual, I don't know who's best suited to answer that request, but I think it should come from the office.
to you.
Christine forwarded it.
It was this morning.
So I think if this person was aware that, you know, the payment is subject to being made, you know, monthly or whatever, anytime they want, and it's cost prohibitive to move to that, and it would take an act of the, town legislative body to do so.
Also, you have to notify all the banks, and all the mortgage companies and banks that there's a
Yeah,
change in payment,
it's too big of a hurdle for us to really wanna do that, so, but I'm just saying, this person, it might be nice to inform that individual that we listen to your concern, and here's why that really doesn't work for us. However, on your end, there are options.
Getting back to that email, I did send that to Deanna, and it got bounced back, so I don't know if there's a problem with her email.
Which email address did you use?
The new dot one, tax collector dot.
I don't know if she set it up.
I thought it was Deanna Diamond,
It is.
Effingham, NH.
It is.
Okay.
Okay, but I thought it was tax collector dot, and it got bounced back.
No.
Well,
It's her full name with a dot in the middle.
if it was sent to the, selectman's office, then I'd like us to respond.
Yeah.
To talk, Deanna doesn't really make that decision, so
Yep.
she handles the payments, but,
Okay, gotcha.
all right, so,
Can I just add one thing, back to this public hearing thing, it's outdoor, there will not be a call-in number, we're done with the call-in,
right,
and we're sticking with June 23rd, and did we have a rain date?
24th and 26th respectively, should we have rain?
Any time?
Nobody knows.
All at 11, we'll just keep it consistent,
Okay,
it's easier.
'cause I gotta get that out today.
That works. All right. Thank you, Chris.
Okay. What else you got over there, Chuck?
An oil tank for waste oil. When I did the research on this, I looked at 3 or 4 different companies that, provide tanks. This company, Midwest Industrial Tanks, had the best descriptive information, and their pricing structure was within $100 of everybody else. It wasn't that bad. The differences pretty much in pricing was shipping. Some were more in actual price, but less in shipping, so it all basically averaged out. 12 gauge carbon steel container. The picture I had given to everybody showed one cover where stuff would be entered. I had asked the guys for a quote to give me a double tank, 250 gallons each side, so that there would be 2 covers, one on each side, as well as a belt and suspenders approach with a tank underneath, which is also 12 gauge steel. So if somebody lifted something up and missed getting it into the normal nozzle area or spilled it, it would actually go into a holding tank. It would be enough to hold the 500 gallons plus. This meets all of the EPA requirements. UL listed, it meets everything that's there. And the total price tag, I believe, I don't have it in front of me, was like $7,400 and some odd dollars.
Okay. So it's not this price?
No, because shipping's not on there, and that's not the double wall tank. So I had emailed to you and the town the breakdown of the invoice sheet, and that was the one Mike asked about 3 weeks ago, saying, wait a minute, this is like $11,000, and it's because he had option 1 or option 2, and option 2 with the double tank is less expensive than option 1, which is 2 separate 250 gallon tanks. So,
In the beginning, weren't we doing like a cement? Didn't you look into a precast
yeah,
cement thing?
the problem you get into is that they are half of a septic tank. That's the way they make them. They're 36 inches high.
Can't we custom make
Oh, yeah, you can.
or something like that?
A lot more expensive. It was more expensive than doing the holding tank with these guys.
Because, yeah, I mean, I thought we were going, I mean, I like, this is nice and it looks good. But I thought we were going with just the 55 gallon drums on a tray. Like we got one tray now on that, whatever that clam thing they call it, whatever it is.
But you need double wall tanks. You need, when you look at the requirements for the containment areas, you've gotta have enough that it will, if all the tanks broke, they would be able to fit,
Right.
not go over the side of the tank. Not if one broke, if they all broke.
Yeah, whatever you got
Which
8
means
drums in there.
it's not just putting it on a drip stand.
Right.
We could put it on a drip stand because these are double wall tanks. These already meet the criteria for the build. So you could do this, you could set them on those plastic drip things. But when I was talking to this guy and I said, I wanna make sure if something happens, there's no problem. He said, and you want the steel containment area.
Now, we still gotta enclose this in something, right? So,
Yeah.
We'd have to build something around it, build some kind of lean-to or something. I got thinking about that is if we put, I don't know where we're gonna put it, but if we were to put it up near where the container is for the technology and tires, so as you come into the place, do an immediate left and put it right there. You could actually put the containment on the pavement. You could put the, holding tank inside containment. Get some 6x6 pressure treated posts, put them up in the air, put a lean-to across the top of it, and run a small door on the front of it or a tarp or something like that, 3-sided with an open.
sidewall would have to be.
Yep, and they only make certain sizes, so the size we would have for this is beyond, quite a bit beyond what we need, because the 1,000 or the 1,200 gallon tank, the way they're made, wouldn't hold the containers. I gave them the dimensions of what the length and width were of this, and it wouldn't fit into anything but that 1,500 gallon tank.
What about 4 or 8 drums with 2 trays inside the?
I'm not in favor, if I'm getting into this, I'm not in favor of using oil drums. I want a double wall tank. Only because of the EPA requirements. As I started to look into this, when you get into waste oil, the containment containers and the spillover containers are pretty regulated. So it's not just putting 55 gallon drums down there and saying we're done.
Oh, no, I get that. I mean, I was actually, went so far, I was looking up the trays that the drums fit on. And they're under $200 for,
Something drip pallets?
yeah. Like what's up there now, and then you got that clam one we got there. But they're under $200, and they hold, those ones, the $200 ones hold the 4 drums. I think we had 8 drums,
The
right?
drums are not EPA for waste oil.
Why are they selling them as this then, for this product?
Cause you can buy anything you want. I'm just saying, at this stage of the game,
Right,
I
yeah.
want a double wall tank. I don't think drums are the way we wanna go, cause we had originally said 250 gallons apiece. That's like 8 drums, and I'm not thinking 8 drums is the place to go.
Well, the transfer station stuff, that, like that book I brought in the other day, that's what they show in there. They do show drums, stack, but it has to be in a certain type of a containment area. And that was the original, proposal, was to put drums to the state who approved our proposal. I'm just saying, just, I mean.
I just want to get something in there, to make sure we don't have a problem.
The discussion needs to continue, but I'm just saying that the purchase with the grant town funds, and it was a spill-proof containment bund or vessel, and outlined to house our 4 55-gallon drum collection unit. So, and then a duplicate oil collection unit to be purchased at a future date. So we did outline that, and it didn't get kicked out. Then it was to contain the whole place, and we could put, should we have gone that way? If I would like to know what it costs to put a concrete bund in, to find out what it would be, because if we, just to say Tom's on the thing with the drum, that's 420 gallons, so by volume, you can figure out it's roughly 7.5 gallons for a cubic foot, I believe is what it holds. So you can do the math from it.
And then take a look at the actual dimensions of the drums, and then take a look at the size of the septic tank, And what size septic tank do you need to be able to get those drums in there?
Well, that's,
And if everything's still flat, in other words, the drum is up here, call it 4 feet, the wall's only 2 feet, you gotta have extra space on all of your tanks, because you've gotta be able to cover the 4 feet of oil, not just a 2
You
foot
gotta-
wall.
You know, to cover whatever, how many gallons would be a total max out of those drums.
No, and then they add 15 to 20% on top of that,
Okay.
from a design standpoint.
Right.
But then the key thing is, what size tanks are available? 1,000, 1,250, and 1,500.
Well, that's why I asked.
And what are the dimensions of the tanks? And will those barrels fit into the tanks?
The other thing we gotta figure, I believe, is you have to figure the displacement of the barrel if there's a leak. In other words, you got a barrel in this table, it's gonna displace a certain.
Right, that's why I said the total volume of all the barrels, all the drums, if that was what we're using, they all just ruptured one night. Where would it all go? That we couldn't be able to.
Yeah, but Mike was figuring cubic feet, you gotta take the cubic foot of the barrel out of the
right.
formula, because you can't use that space.
So what I was looking at is, we have the space for, 11 by 12 anyway, because the depth is great. But Chuck's point is, that may be cost prohibitive to buy a concrete thing, it would be, custom. I guess I wanna ask that question on the price, because that'd be 132,
And there's no drain.
cubic feet.
So the
Like pump 'em.
metal container I'm looking at, if Clean Harbors had to come in and do a spill situation,
Yeah.
it actually has a drain built into it that they can connect to. Concrete piece, there is no drain.
They pump them.
Yeah, but we'd have to take all the containers out, they'd have to basically clean the entire inside of the concrete. And then put the containers back.
And what would you say, what happens with the double wall, should something happen?
Well, the double wall's already got the protection mechanism built in. You said you wanted to add suspenders on top of that, in case somebody spilled outside of the
Right.
core area that's already built in, it's already high and built into it. There's already some protection for a spill, just because of the way these are built on the top. They're big, there's like the top of them, you lift up the cover,
Right.
and you got a couple of different, you got a drain, and you got where your stuff goes in. And if somebody was lifting it and spilled around that drain, it's already caught inside that steel containment on top of the container. In addition to that, if the wall punctured, these are double wall 12 gauge steel walls. So basically they already meet the EPA requirements for standalone. You don't even need to have an extra spill tank. It already meets the guidelines. But when we were talking early on, you said you wanted to put the suspenders under it with the third protection. And the guy didn't disagree with that. He said, oh yeah, we see that commonly.
Well, that's for the human factor who doesn't
Yeah.
get the material to the top of the tank. Somebody pulls the lid off and stumbles.
Quick question.
Yeah.
On this one here, Chuck, and I don't even know, we might have to do it on the other one too. Are we gonna have to put in those, like, cement-filled ladder columns for cars or vehicles, so they don't, like they do in front of like the gas that you buy for your cookout stoves, your grills. They put those cement posts in front, so no car can.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, yeah.
Is that something that that ain't an expensive deal. I was just curious if that's something we gotta go to.
Depending on where we put it,
Right.
I would say we would have to do that. If we were using the area that I was describing, I would submit we don't have to do that,
You want the plowing?
even with the plowing.
Okay.
Because I would make sure that the 4x4 posts that we have would be on the outside of the container, and you could set it such that the container would be this much inside the post areas. So if they decided to take the post out, the building post, I don't even think something mounted in the front is gonna prevent that. Could.
One of the things I liked about the location where the old compactor was is you can't hit it. And if you put a roll-up door recessed a little back, you couldn't even scrape it with the dumpster coming by. A roll-up door would give you light and it doesn't take up any space because it just goes up. And then, if you did a floor on it eventually, like as your roofing system went in, which was the grander scheme originally, you could floor it so that if you had a shed, we get rid of the old shed, you could incorporate a step up inside the shed onto whatever floor. That's just a thought. Numbers though, just for numbers, if we did put it down below, and because I don't know the price of the concrete, it's still just kicking around in my head. 11 by 12, 1 foot high with, I don't know how thick they make these things, 4 inches, 6 inches, so add thickness.
It was 3.5 or 4.
All right, so let's
With
say,
rebar.
let's say 4 inches then. If we had it custom made, an 11 by 12 would give you 132 feet. So you times cubic foot being 12 inches high, you times that out times 7.48, which is supposedly what's supposed to fit into the volume of a gallon of a square foot. That's 987 gallons. I suppose if you times that by 0.75, you have 740 if your actual volume space was 9 inches high. You'd have 740. My question is just what would that cost for that? If the concrete was able to be used, then you could do drums, but then, like you say, pumping it out might be an issue, so I don't know if there's any kind of liners or stuff. There's a few things I don't know. Otherwise, you're talking a pretty good chunk of money for the unit, and then whatever we build over it. And I think
the unit with the secondary containment and everything, and delivery, put there, was basically 7,400 some odd change. And then you're right, we have to put a roof over it of some kind. The nice thing is, these are designed to be standalone outside units. So in the early stages, we wouldn't need to do it. For the unit, I would be concerned not covering it if we put the extra containment in there, because that'll fill up with snow after the first storm.
Yeah, the state, originally what I saw from the state is they don't want these things outside.
No, I agree with that.
And they want them fully weather tight. Like, that's the problem with the lean-to.
Yep.
And then we experienced some flooding and water issues, which there was an overflow pan under there, and that was gonna be an issue. And if you put it outside, you didn't have something under it, and the human factor came in, that potentially could cause us problems, because they inspect.
Clean Harbor.
So I guess I wanna know some answers to some questions of what it would take to put something under it. Because if we went with the double-walled unit, I'd still be in favor of putting it in the same location with something under it. I don't know what the something is yet, unless we have something constructed, because you could put a roll-up door. You couldn't hit it with a plow. It's really away from the public as far as their participation, because this isn't something for the public. You can lock the roll-up doors.
How much space is between those two concrete walls?
I think it was 12-1.
12-1?
12-1, and my initial looking at depths were to where the overhang was, I think, 12-8. Well, maybe 9-1 and 10-6, but
I got concerns about putting that thing there, because you're gonna have to plow underneath it to be able to get to it in the wintertime. You're not gonna be able to get to it from the top, because it's down 7 or 8 feet. So that means you've got to go around the other end of the dumpster and come back to it and pour that oil in there, which means now we got to do a maintenance system with the plow guys to make sure that they're plowing that after every storm, so if somebody brings in oil, they can get rid of it.
They don't plow down there to pull the dumpsters out when they change them out?
The dumpster would have to come right by there.
That's what we're talking, right down in.
I don't know how that works. I guess there's a question to ask.
Yeah, I don't know. But I mean, they just, So we know they're picking up dumpsters on the off days, so we don't have to worry about somebody getting hit. So.
And what they do is they tend to store some of this stuff until they get time to handle it at the transfer, the guys. So I guess that's the question, is the accessibility. I like that place because it's a bunker. You know, there's just no way we're gonna have it there, because what has happened out in the past was having it up top, if we did have an episode, at least one, with plowing issue and damage. I get your point, because you're beyond the container in that corner behind it, because I had considered that area hit.
And quite frankly, we could always move the container
Right.
further into the drive and basically put it on the other side of the container so it's over toward the wooded area.
My other thought was that container, you could be we could push that back, and you could be right up to the back of the container into the parking lot, because it's, again, that's a pretty sheltered, the only,
Right.
might hit it to be plowed.
So to solve the plowing issue, if we turn the container, right now the container is this way. If we turn the container this way, so it's broadside when you're driving in, we brought it further out and you put the oil on the back end of that.
Like an alley.
The question is, we're never gonna be basically, they open everything up and take it out by hand, so it's not like they gotta move the container to get the technology out of it. And that way you could plow down the side of the container, and if you hit anything, you're gonna hit the container because the tank would be set behind it.
Well, if you turn it, I think though, that might could stick out, that's like a 40-footer, I think. That might stick kind of out to travel lane. Possibly.
What are the dimensions on this tank, the old tank, do you know?
It was on the email I sent you, and I don't have the other printout on it, it actually gave that. It was like 8 feet, I think, to 2.5 feet by 8 feet by 42 inches high or something like that. But I can find the email and resend it.
I'll check when I get home, that's all right.
$500-gallon container.
And it doesn't have to be that big. That was the other thing I found interesting. It's like, I said 250 because that's what we were talking about, 250 and 250. You want 200? 200? You want 150, 150? Depends on how often we would want to pump it or need to pump it.
What do we usually do for oil up there? Anybody have any idea?
Yeah, we usually run around 200 at when a full.
That, clamshell holes, 4 55-gallon drums.
How long does it take us to
220 gallons.
collect that amount is what I'm saying?
Probably a year, I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Dave's shaking his head, yeah. I think we run it out about once a year. The other concern is always the stuff we transport to hazardous waste that collects up in the container, the big technology tires container, because sometimes that has some other things in it that I'm afraid of. That's one of my other concerns, the puncturing stuff. This can happen, freezing if it's got a lot of water. So if we had another container, maybe not as big as the 200 or 250, just put some of that in case we have a discussion to see what we think we can have there. There's going to be an increased price with getting rid of that stuff too. So if we had to get rid of it on our own and bring it to hazardous waste, we'd have to be able to transport it in like 5-gallon pairs.
Yeah, and I think last time I saw it was like $3.48 a gallon to get rid of it on the contaminated side, so.
That's a good price. That's a concern. So revenue, that'd have to be part of a revenue stream to offset.
Well, we can't take a chance of having somebody bring something down that's not contaminated. My view is it's one price, period.
Well, that's what I mean. You're gonna have to set a revenue peak that incorporate the balance between the two. My thought, to keep the finances. And you want a low price point would be good. So I mean, if it's $3.50 and we're going, half and half, to dispense with your 5 gallons, say, of material, $10. Because then you figure that the one thing, I forget what it is to get rid of good oil. Maybe that's about $2. What is it a gallon? You remember that?
When I was talking to Mark,
about $1 a gallon, I think it was.
yeah, but when I was talking to Mark, apparently some of those, and I don't know this because I haven't looked at it and I wasn't around, but apparently in the past, when the guys got there to actually test it, they found that it had been contaminated, and all of a sudden the entire load is at the contaminated price
Oh,
per
absolutely.
gallon. And that's why I was thinking 2 separate tanks, so if it's even close, put it into the contaminated tank.
Right, and that's the other thing, is that the process for determining is it contaminated at the transfer station, for us, is not good. There is no real, hey, how's it look to you?
Well, that's why I'm willing to put a slightly higher price per gallon on it, so that, it's kinda like demo. Not everybody's bringing oil in.
Right,
So if you're bringing oil in, you're gonna pay to get rid of your oil.
or you have clean oil and you have an outlet to somebody with a wood, you know,
With a
oil
burning unit.
furnace or something. All right, so I'm not sure where we are on this, I guess.
I can resend everything, you can take a look at it.
Oh, no, I had,
And I think I got the price point for that half tank from, Foss, AJ Foss, and I will, I'll get a hold of them again too.
all right,
And I'll find out what it would be to do a custom half tank, or a custom tank, it won't be half tank, custom tank.
yeah, 'cause you got the dimensions roughly, I mean, you'd have to knock off a certain amount of, you'd be talking about 11 feet wide, once you take into consideration the walls, if that was one unit. So, because you'd have 8 inches on both sides, and that gives you about 5 inches of, 2.5 inches of play on each wall, you know, if it was, so you could slide it in if we had to make it, stuff like that.
Yep.
All right, well, I guess
You want me to put a price together on the other way too?
Sure, I mean, what, you know,
Just
let's
like
look
that
at
is-
all our,
I mean, I like this, I mean, I do, I just think, money wise, let's just see what the other way costs.
I'm open to alternatives, personally, this isn't a done deal for me, I mean,
No, I get,
That all right by you?
oh yeah,
Okay.
I just wanna get something in there, and then not have to worry about it.
actually. And it's one more thing off the list, services are rendered, and if we can get some money from the state to do it, which we have, we need to just get it done. So. Dave, I see your eyes going back there, Mr. Budget Committee Chairman, do you have something you'd like to add to the conversation here? Because you got the mask on, so I can't judge
Yeah.
facial expressions, but I see your eyes perking up, so. All righty then. Transfer station, well, we're still on that subject. I was thinking about this for a week or two now, with a lot of the municipal and businesses opening up. And I had reached out to Mark yesterday and just asked him what the guys would feel about if we opened the swap table back up. And somebody was yelling behind him, one of the other employees. Apparently people are asking about this.
Yeah.
Didn't know it. And the guys don't have a problem with it, put it back where it was, over and out of the way.
Yeah.
I said I'd ask you guys and get an answer to them from.
I'm good.
You're all set, Tom? You could, okay. Might as well do it, so.
What did you decide, or did you decide about selling dump stickers back at the?
Oh, that's the other one. Thank you, Brian.
My next one right there.
Yeah, obviously, if they're from out-of-town registrations, they'll have to come processed through here. But the market brought that out. He's fine with doing it. I guess the conversation made its way back down to the transfer station. So, since Mark and company are good with it, provided that they know that they have to fill out more detailed information.
We're gonna need to make sure that they've got sheets and the clipboards and stuff like that, because when I told them yesterday, yep, and here's all the additional stuff you gotta do, it's like, oh, you're kidding me. It's like, no, it's like, here's what it's gonna be. But we're gonna need a clipboard or something.
Yeah.
With enough of the sheets that they can enter whatever format Chris has set up.
Okay.
So we can get that done. And then figure out how to get it over there.
Okay.
When you wanna do it. When you wanna open it up.
I'd like to have that for the weekend, probably. How about Tom?
Yep.
Yeah. You Chuck? You could.
We've gotta figure out a way to get the stuff over to them for Saturday morning, that's the only thing.
Okay, stuff being.
All the stickers and the clipboard and whatever the form they gotta fill out, the process, written process, here's how it's gotta work.
I guess having an example on one of the sheets of the information to be taken would probably, John Doe and a 17-digit registration number, whatever it is that we're using, you know, the license plate. Yeah, just, I would take whatever Chris is doing, put it on, take one of those sheets and just do a mock-up of one and list it as example, have them repeat, put that on all the sheets so it's not missed when they go on to the next one. Stickers we have here, right, Chris?
I'll get together a package and send it out.
Okay. Mark did have a follow-up concern, so, but, on this one, if we can get everything together that,
For Saturday, just,
yeah,
and then I'll talk to Teresa about changing something on the website that says stickers are now available at the
perfect.
transfer station, starting Saturday.
And then, we can kind of get a little more and, you know, toe the line enforcement down there because they'll be, able to write them right then and there. And then give a little grace period, more for the folks who are out of state, out of town, whatever it is, who vacation here, second properties, to get through the process here at the office, but we'll start sending them this way.
Okay.
Well, phase in, just like we said, we'll give them to the rest of the month to kind of get them pushed this way.
And Bill's got his shoulder operation on July 27th.
I heard that.
So he was asking yesterday for the several weeks after that, can he come in with a sling on? And I said, well, you guys aren't supposed to be lifting anything out of people's cars right now, but you are supposed to be observing what's going into the different containers. So I have got no problem with it whatsoever, so.
It's the same thing that I said to him, and it's also, and you were here for this, I'm sure, when Mark had his motorcycle accident X number of years ago, he was able to come in, oversee, participate, so, I don't have a problem with it. Anybody else have any?
No, I'm good. I'll just let him know Wednesday.
Okay.
Should you to protect yourselves, have his doctor just send a note indicating it's okay if he works as long as he doesn't lift.
Okay,
That just kind of protects the
Yep,
town.
yep.
That's all.
yes, okay.
Something else in there.
I'd like to add when, Mark was in here earlier this morning, he's requesting new gloves,
What type?
not the expensive ones.
He wants the,
Regular work.
U-line, it said U-line on them.
right, okay. So, we can get, Mark purchased those recently up at one of the hardware stores locally, the U-line. They're about $15 a pair or so, I
He
think.
said, no, he paid like $28. He told me, can we get them cheaper somewhere else?
I went online, I couldn't find them cheaper. There's some good
Okay.
gloves up at Windy Ridge that I use, that are probably acceptable. They'll probably run about $15. They're, Tom, you have a pair. What are those? They're the only gloves that, Windy Ridge sells. They're for handling wood and stuff. They're gonna be comparable,
Yeah, that was right.
so,
Yeah.
maybe that's an alternative.
Not job lot, don't they have tons?
No, not Job Lot, no.
They're no good?
No good, not going there. But Windy Ridge carries a product line. I've probably got a pair out in my truck right now.
All right, so when you,
You know, and you're dealing with trees and logging and stuff, and they hold up pretty well for that.
So Mark and Brad are large, Bill is extra large.
all right, so 2 large, 1 extra.
Touching on the same thing, what else do we supply the guys up there with, I guess?
Well, we do a stipend on boots, provided they're, you know, safety, you know, boots. We provide them gloves, we provide them, they have face shields and safety glasses.
The face shields aren't up there. That was one of the notes I had was
I
asked.
saw those in the corner.
Well, they weren't there when I went in Saturday morning, because Bill came out and he goes like, well, when are we gonna be able to get the face shields?
When I remember not that long ago going in, and it's the you know,
Yeah.
and up in the corner, I thought I saw face shields, but maybe I'm just,
No, they told, Brad was shaking his head like this, that Bill was right, there's nothing there. So, and masks. I know when we talked to Gwen was gonna do some kind of an order, and she and I traded emails around face masks and the shields, and it's been like 2 weeks and they haven't got anything, so I said I would follow up.
We
Yeah.
have many masks in the storage closet.
And, two things on the mask. One is I heard the stuff that Randy got for free is junk. That's what I've been hearing, the strap spray. I got, and I don't know the quality, but they're supposed to be N95, so they should be good. I got those from, Mr. Spofford up at, Green Mountain Treatment Center months ago, free, and those are in the office, and we had 40 of them. And we also have some of the surgical one, we had 50 surgicals, so maybe, giving them some of those.
Oh, yeah.
Apply?
Oh, yeah, we need to like, take 12 of them up.
Yeah.
That way it gives them, when they run out, they run out. Grace also made them each,
Right.
cloth masks. And what she found out is after you've used them for like several weeks,
You should just,
the rubber bands,
Oh.
no, they wash them every night. That's why she
Okay.
made extras. They use them that day, take them home, wash them,
yeah,
but
that's,
they've already got the other one for the next day, so they rotate. But apparently with the washing, because you're washing in hot water, it ruins the rubber bands after a period of time.
right.
So she's got a technique to change the rubber straps. So I told them this weekend, if any of you guys are loose and you want new rubber straps on your mask, let me know and she'll redo them.
We can also provide them some of what Randy has, because if they're free, maybe they can use them for a day and disposable if they work out.
Okay.
Give you some options with the N95s, I would say, and some of the other surgical ones, because N95s can get kind of difficult to breathe through because there's so much more density.
Especially when it's hot out.
So I would like to provide them a bunch of options.
Yep.
As far as the face shields, I do another walkthrough through that building, but order, 3.
Well, I'll follow up with Gwen, because I know she was gonna do it. I don't know if we got it in yet.
Okay.
So I made a note to follow up on that, because I know she and I had talked about it.
Okay, I swore I saw those. Did you have a team down there when you were?
I thought I did, but
Okay.
I don't remember. But my thing going back now, we're looking at getting them gloves, right?
Yes.
Shouldn't we have like a stipend? I know we can't do this right now, but like we supply 2 or 4 pairs of gloves a year, pair of boots. Figure out what this roughly costs and give them one stipend. It's up to them. But
I don't wanna give them the statement. We have a line for equipment in the budget.
I know, but now we're going out buying more gloves. We just spent how much money on gloves? Now we're going back out to buy more gloves.
Well, we got the puncture resistant things, which I
Right.
think everybody can agree is probably not gonna be repeated. We saw they got to use them and they really didn't seem to be the thing, but it was in response to a request from the guys. And if we did that again, we'd have to try something different, I would say. You concur?
Oh, I don't think we're gonna see the request again.
Okay. So, the thing that would be nice to do is if we could find the gloves that they like in bulk. I couldn't find the ones that they like, I think it's Kinko, in bulk, and it was extremely expensive, as Chuck pointed out. So, we can get gloves for under $20 a pair right now and see if these are compatible, because they have multiple, like they just don't have this type of glove up there. You got a whole wall full of like pegboard hanging there of this company with variations. So, at that point, we could see if we could get a discounted price from Windy Ridge or from the manufacturer if we bought a case.
Do you have a pair of those already?
I do. I have a.
Can you stop in
I will.
and find out if they fit, and then they're the quantity and hopefully the model number of that particular glove is stamped on it somewhere?
Yeah.
And then Chris could just call up and order them. But without that information, she's not gonna be able to do an order.
Yeah.
Send me gloves, that's not gonna work.
Yeah, it's, so that's the thing, with the gloves, they're gonna be $17, $18 a pair probably for these gloves. So, do you wanna go buy 24 gloves, sets, or 12 even, maybe 12 wouldn't be horrible, but it's a good chunk of money.
Usually if you do the case, there's a slight discount. I don't know if Windy Ridge will do that.
Yeah.
I ask up there,
Yeah, but,
when I go in, I ask, and I get discounts when I ask, so.
Yeah, just have them and we could distribute them from here as we did.
so, and that would be the thing to do, which we've done things like that in the past. The boots, they get a stipend, I think it was like $75 a year. You buy a quality safety boot.
Well, that's what I was saying, do the same with the gloves.
Well,
Let them do that. No, we could stop babysitting.
We could have them get the gloves they want.
They're allowed,
Slip.
that's not a pair a year, whatever.
And I don't have a problem with that. If they wanna go up and buy the gloves and submit, I wouldn't put a cap to it because you just don't know with the wear and tear. I mean, certainly don't wanna be turning around buying gloves every month.
I think we should be buying gloves. I think the stipend for the boots, I think is a good idea because those are individual, providing you bring in your receipt.
Proof of purchase. As one of the guys that used to, the managers in one of the areas that I worked at, it's like, it's basically like proof of life. You know, I don't wanna just see the receipt, I wanna see your feet.
And we did new winter jackets, I think, last year.
Oh, yeah.
So we're good with that. We don't need to do winter jackets again because they're in good shape.
And that wasn't always, that wasn't a thing before, so like, that's a debatable, you know, need to do kind of thing, like you say. I don't think that's an annual.
Nope, it's not.
But we do have a line, though, for equipment, and once we're presented with a need, we usually, you know, try to.
My thing is, when you give someone something, like you go get the gloves, here's your glove, fellas, if they gotta do it, they kinda take care of them better, a little more. You know, that's human nature.
That's a consideration.
You know, they're not, well, they're in my truck, that pair's in my truck, I'll just grab another pair for here.
Well, you know, to their defense, I haven't seen a run.
Oh, no, I'm not
Gloves
trying, I'm
in
not
my
saying
time
that
being
it
here.
happened, I'm just saying, but.
Now, the request comes in when they're worn out, that's it.
Yeah, they've been very
I
responsive.
know Mark's had the same pair, one pair for a year, over a year now, he said.
Well, you're not handling anything anymore. You're getting a lot of mileage out of it, keeping your hands warm. So, all right, we'll
And
follow
in
up.
the interim, I had that discussion, it's like, and if you need gloves, I did buy you a pair of gloves just a little while ago, you can use those gloves.
If you're going to buy gloves, you ought to quartermaster the gloves. Bring me a worn out pair, and I'll give you a new pair.
You gotta get different sizes too.
You got two sizes, is what I'm hearing.
Yep,
You got
you do.
large and extra large.
Correct.
So that's, if it was one size fit all three employees, that'd be nice, but apparently not. But,
We can check the bids.
I couldn't find them when I tried before, I looked, but maybe you guys have better luck, I didn't find gloves.
What the state did?
Yeah.
Okay, I haven't looked. Because someone's gonna have to send me the manufacturer model number of the glove. I have no idea.
Yeah, I had that pulled up on Google. Kinko had the yellow glove, U-line. Maybe Kinko's the other one. Okay. There was something else bugging me about transfer station. I can't think of what it was. It was one more issue I think that came up. All right.
I have a question.
Yeah, go right ahead, Brian.
Has anybody dealt with waste management and no through trucks? Or?
I think, did you follow up on that? Okay, now
No, I suggested we write a letter to them. Because they've been spoken to by Mark.
I have now been prompted by Mr. Burke to the one last thing that was nagging at me.
You want me to call waste management?
I think he's
And then
going,
we'll send them a letter also?
I think this is gonna tie in, my one item.
Okay.
So, we have gone down this road before, and I'm going to figure an operation of the size Waste Management is, they probably get new employees, i.e. new drivers on occasion. So I think that's probably what we've got. And depending on how their drivers go out and navigate their route, potentially they could have some kind of like Google Maps, God only knows, and just, you know, punch your phone and just see where you gotta go. So I think what we're probably faced with is the new driver not knowing. So getting to that individual and letting that person know that it's a no-through trucking, that would be good. I would piggyback that off of what I have a problem with now is, and this is why I'm thinking it's a new driver, not just because of the no-through trucking, but the compactor. One of the containers was put to the compactor, and there's turnbuckles that pull it in and secure it, so when it rams, the pressure, ram goes through. wasn't secured properly. So now it has pushed the container away. The turnbuckles weren't installed correctly. Therefore, now stuff is coming out onto the ground. This is also going to mean we're going to probably have to have that container picked up, taken away when it hits about half volume, you know, for its full. I think we run about 12 ton on average. You're nodding your head, Chuck. So if we take this thing out at 6 ton, just for example, I'm thinking that we're having this picked up at half volume, and the trucking fee that goes with it now, you ought to be splitting that trucking fee with us, because if we're picking it up, you know, when it was half full because of the mistakes that your driver made, then we shouldn't be covering your training errors, you know, your training expenses. And a side note, no through trucking here, inform your drivers. But that's kind of a package idea, so as you're looking to reach out to Waste Management, I think that's the whole.
I'd reach out to the municipal
Contact.
Yeah, if I was going to, but the turnbuckle was not properly connected.
Right.
Now, the other,
And Mark was gonna make a call in today to get it picked up early.
okay. Has anybody made sure that there are signs? I'm assuming.
There are signs for no
Okay.
trucking.
That's it. Now, I'm assuming he's coming in Elm Street off of 16 probably. to
And
get
going
there.
out Elm Street, yeah.
Yeah, then going up,
Champion Hill.
yeah, Champion Hill Road and then on the Town Hall,
Well, we're coming from the transfer station on Townhouse Road, then you'd access Champion Hill down Green Mountain, Elm.
Now, there are signs, I know, that Townhouse Road, coming in from 153. I come occasionally across Elm Street, because they got that construction going on that blocks you up, so I occasionally come across Elm Street and then out, Green Mountain Road to get here in the morning.
Right.
I have not seen a sign at the beginning of Elm
It
Street.
is 30 feet beyond the driveway on the right-hand side. So,
In Ossipee,
nope, on our side.
so
On Champion Hill, not on,
Not on Elm Street.
I'm talking Elm Street coming the other way.
oh, the Elm Street one's up on the right-hand side. It's covered by a bunch of trees
But
right
it
now.
doesn't say no through trucking.
No through trucking, it just says 30-ton limit.
Right. No through trucking is specific to
Champion Hill.
Champion Hill only.
Okay.
Because there's a way around. Jones and Drake circumvent the hill. So you can kind of go out like, you know, a V.
Okay.
And,
And they can through truck there.
right, Jones and Drake they can do.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure.
What they probably should be doing for them is just take 153 to 25. It's a better trucking road. But
And I agree. But, you know, the guy's probably doing exactly what you said. He's looking at his Google Maps and says, this is short.
I would,
Well, the chip trucks use Champion Hill all the time too. I've almost gotten creamed twice on the bend partway down the hill as they were flying up.
so I've asked the PD before, one of the deflections I seem to have gotten is whether or not the no through trucking is enforceable because was it done this way and that way and the next way, to be put into play. I don't know where to go with that. We have a sign. Maybe you guys need to, not you guys, maybe those guys need to find out if it's enforceable or not.
Well, they said basically show us the ordinance where it was passed by the town as a no through trucking and we can enforce it with a violation. We've got to dig into our records back whenever it was.
There's a sign up there, why don't you enforce it? And
You have to have an
Worry
ordinance.
about it after.
what's that?
You have to have an ordinance to, first of all, you can enforce no through trucking. If there is an ordinance supporting any road that's got the sign on it, you can't go through with a truck.
Well, I don't know.
And I don't know if you got an ordinance or you don't have an ordinance.
I don't know that we need an ordinance, because when I read,
But they're not going to give out a ticket without the ordinance because they've got to reference it in their detail.
I think you need an ordinance. I think that's a load of crap. I think what you have here is the hard road to travel and everything I see in the RSA's, which simply say the selectmen have the right and the authority to post that road, therefore it is.
First of all, the selectmen have the right to create the ordinance and pass it. There is a statute that gives you that authority. And so you could just write a statute, write an ordinance that says, no through trucking on Champion Hill Road in the town of Effingham. Any violation of this is a violation of this is a violation of law. And two of the three selectmen, if you pass it at the selectmen's meeting, two of the three selectmen sign it, and the ordinance exists. And then they can write a ticket, which costs the guy $1,000 every time he goes down that road.
Well, I don't know, I think it's $100 on a road, 1,000, no, you're right, 1,000 on a road, 100 on a bridge.
That's right.
Again, I'll look into the legal portion of it because I've never seen that we need to write an ordinance, but maybe we do. Other than that, the selectmen can change what road, weight limits on roads, there's a lot of vast authority, and I don't think it needs to have an ordinance.
And the selectmen can do that. But the cop isn't gonna write a ticket because he doesn't have an ordinance he can present to the judge saying it's
Judge
a
won't do
violation
anything
of
with
law.
it.
Again, I'll look at what I have seen in there to see if that's viable, because I just don't know that. I mean, I've never seen that we need to write an ordinance, but I'll look into it.
Only if you wanna have a fine paid. Because you can write the ordinance, or not, but if he hasn't got an ordinance when he goes before the judge, and the judge says, where's the ordinance, I don't have one, case is closed.
There again, I don't know that I believe that that's true. I wanna look into it. I don't think you're required to have an ordinance. The selectmen can post things in the town, we have that authority. I don't know that it says the selectmen have the authority to create ordinances, to do all the laws and rules and statutes that we put in under highways and streets. I've never seen that. Doesn't mean that that's not accurate, I just haven't seen it. I just don't personally know that as a fact.
Let me
Look into it.
see if I can make a couple of inquiries to find out where a copy of that previous ordinance is.
Well, that would have gone in the 2000.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking.
2010.
Yep.
And, see if it exists, and I'll look at the other end of this stuff. Chris, what do you hear? How are we making out on that municipal contact list? I haven't even seen an email
Right here.
going out to anybody. We have a full list?
I didn't get it.
What's that?
That's the one you just put in my box this morning.
That's what we give to residents. I'm working
Oh,
on
okay.
like a database of everybody in town, I'm basically done, but there's a few things I wanna add, I'm waiting on people.
Okay, good. Good
There's
to know
always
that's
the
in.
stragglers.
And, what about, Brian, the whole, there's no stop sign without a permit for a stop sign at the state? Have we looked into the state's records? Because I asked about that before. Has anybody reached out to the state to find out, is there a list of stop signs for everything?
Okay, I misunderstood, I will do that. I misunderstood, I thought you wanted to know you needed a permit.
No,
And
I wanna know how many are actually permitted,
Okay.
because that's another one. And I'll bite on that one. The other one I'm still a little iffy on, but, all right. So did we decide that the cemeteries are gonna get a price increase at our next public hearing, that we, once we put a couple public hearings together, we'll do them all at once?
I'm looking about a number.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we can debate the number, but we are doing it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
Okay, we can, I just pulled 300, Chuck pulled 350. You wanna put a number in it?
3.25.
3.25? 3.25 seems like middle ground, I don't know. Okay,
Is that gonna be for the
Three words.
23rd?
no, that's
Easy
easy.
as a loan, and it works,
3 is better than what we have today.
right?
200% there. All right, so then, great, we'll make that the next, when we do like Randy's ordinance.
Yep.
He's not here again, so I guess we're not making any progress on that one today.
Was here.
Yeah, it's gone now, so, all right. Well, I've got one thing before we get into, personnel policy, which is, a concern I'm having with the bid that we received for pavement. One of the early contacts I had with the company with the lowest price is the gentleman said that you didn't put in a unit price. So there was no unit and no tonnage price asked for on our document. But page 3 says, method of measure and basis of payment, these items will be paid for by the ton in place at the contract price according to the delivery slip. So usually you would see, and I guess my question to this guy would be, don't you always put in the tonnage you expect to use in the ton price? Because we did, one contractor supplied it, one vendor, and 2 didn't. And part of my concern here is when I do my math, I had 3,700 tons is basically what the thing is. 37,000 square yards. And then there's a formula which you'll do the 3,700 square yards times the inch and a quarter that we want on the road surface. That covers the width. And then there's essentially, I call it a number that's used as pretty much pi for asphalt, which is 0.0567. So you times all that out, and that gives you your tons. And the tons are 2622 from my standpoint. That's the number. So there's some incidental stuff that was in there, like cap coats and this and that. You subtract basically what those numbers are, and I come out with a bid price of about $166,000 for the labor and the whole shooting match there for a ton price. So I divide that by 2622, and I come out with $63.31 per ton. And that, like I said, includes the labor, right? That scares the hell out of me because it doesn't make sense to me. I think your ton prices are going to be $73 on up to probably closer to 80 in this environment down. May 18th was the last time we were under the running monthly price right now. So we're at $530 for the month. So, I mean, it doesn't equate to this price, in my opinion. We were running about $550 or so prior to that in the previous months, and for a long stretch, $545, $540. So this price it's scaring me. And if you were paying about $73 a ton, $74 a ton, that's a good price for a small town where we are. These guys have a plant in Franklin, New Hampshire, which Google Maps says an hour and 18, in a dump truck full of asphalt.
If you can float across Lake Winnipesaukee, it's an hour and 18.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. You know, this is a long drive to get this material here. So just for the hell of it, I called one of the asphalt suppliers that's more local, and I said, we've got a ton price that's coming out of the gate over there these days? And they said, yeah, it's $70 a ton. I don't understand. I mean, the number just doesn't make sense. I'll tell you what does make sense, though, is if at an inch and a quarter, that's 5 quarters. Say you throw in a quarter of an inch away, or 20%. If you added 20% to your price on this thing, then I was getting $199,000, which is a lot more in line with the other prices. What's going on? I'm a little concerned that we're going to have some thinning.
I'm concerned we don't have an apples to apples.
And so I was going to call this gentleman today and say, this is my concern, this is my numbers. You want to explain this to me? Because I'm not feeling very comfortable with your bid. Because you said you talked to me and you said you were going to provide that information. Well, you did not.
This little bit, he's got his own plant, right?
Franklin was,
Yeah, but they're making their own material.
Right.
So, if he was to sell to another paving company, his material,
Right.
he's gonna have a markup from what he pays, you know, what he gets it, making it for. He doesn't have that markup when he's doing the whole job. Also, right? So that's gonna figure in somewhere.
But don't you lose that in trucking? If you're paying a truck driver for a couple hours on the road, you know, hauling how many tons in one truck?
Because it depends on how many trucks they're rotating. Up to here.
How many trucks is it going to? Dave Strauss.
Funny you mention that, I just passed that company this week, a couple days ago, they're overlaying, the upper part of 25 into Wolfboro. So there was a bunch of their DMI trucks laid on the highway, full of asphalt.
So here's a question I have for our town administrator, because I know there's state bid pricing for asphalt. Do you think you could find, you see how it happens to his day? You see what happens there? Do you think you could look into seeing what, they're getting an asphalt price for in District 1?
What if you giving us a state?
Sorry, the other day on the list, I just did.
Did you?
We're doing such a major job over here, maybe that has some kind of.
Well, if you're, you know, and I had asked him where your asphalt was coming from, because he said Franklin.
Right.
And I said, are you gonna be getting your asphalt from over here at like, you know, Carroll or Pike? And he basically said, yes.
Well, they might have another arrangement that, you know, Pike might send their guys to his place and they're on that side of the state. And again, and they might have their own little,
I don't know, but I
I'm
just,
sure they're not gonna sell to us as what he's gonna sell to that other company if they're doing it.
understood, but let's say you could produce it for 63. You're not gonna sell it to us for 63.
No, but you gotta take in the whole other contract. He's actually laying it down. He ain't just selling the stuff, right?
Say that again?
He's putting it down, correct?
Yeah.
You're doing it for the whole, if he's getting his own plant, like I said, his own, he's putting it down.
Putting it
He's
down.
not selling it to some like Carol to put down here in Effingham.
Right, but he's gonna truck it in from Franklin, put it down at $63 a ton. That just doesn't seem like that's doable.
Well, like Dave said too, he's in the area over there. Is he the same one doing 16 all the way up to, up to Tamworth?
I don't know, but I'd like to know what the price is.
Been inspected, like you said, anyway, aren't they?
Well, that's another thing, we don't have an inspector. I called and I asked Pike Industries if they, you know, supply inspectors to jobs, right, you know, and they don't, they only do internal. So you would only have GMI's inspectors should they provide one. I don't know where to find an inspector at this point.
Thought we had said there in the budget that when we had the issues with the base coat, we were gonna,
Well,
I think,
I had hoped that we had a source in town that was going to work with us on that, but they felt that there would be a conflict of interest. He works for another company. So where do you get an independent inspector for this? That's now being an issue. Because we could do that, you know, we have it in the budget that we can do it. It's now finding that resource. So, again, I mean, if they're selling asphalt by the ton out of the facility around here at $70, yeah, I don't know, how does that equate to going down on the road?
I would basically go back to the two that didn't quote it and tell them as part of the bid evaluation, this is in competitor bids. We need you to provide the same level of information, so it's an apples to apples comparison from a bid standpoint.
Yeah, because I figured to reach out, because I just,
But I'd reach out to both of them. I'd reach out.
right,
Who didn't do it.
that's an excellent point. Yeah, because if there's, like I said, a 20% swing makes this the high bid.
That's good. I'd reach out to them.
Okay. Well, that was my concern. I didn't want to drop it on you tomorrow at the meeting. I wanted to have an opportunity to wrestle this through before we got to that point. will get back to us with some more information. Dave, did you get all your legal inquiries addressed? Did you get a spreadsheet? No. That before you leave then, because that was prepared back at the time frame. This is reflective of. Yeah. So that should be there. I do have a mediation I'm going to for an abatement on the 16th.
Unless I put it in my box.
I don't, could be.
Sure.
Did you get to the bottom of the question with Robertson Green?
No, Chris just sent me the info on
The info?
how to contact him.
Oh, I could have gave you that.
Oh,
That.
thank you, Chris. I plan on calling him today.
All right, then I'll wait for that update.
You didn't get that?
Thanks, Brian. That was quick. 3/4 binder mix, ton 65. 3/8 binder, which is what we were looking at, 72. Surface treatment, 77.
That's last year's bid, this year's hasn't been opened yet.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
So what did I read?
Well, that's the surface wearing. Right now, for last year anyway, it was at $72 a ton, the state bid price. Plant mix surface treatment, 77, which I'm not sure what that is. 3/8 wearing mix was 72. 1/2 inch wearing mix, which we put into 3/8 is 71. 3/4 inch binder mix, which is probably the winter binder, is $65. So again, I'm a little nervous. I'll reach out.
I would reach out to both of them, say, for apples to apples, an evaluation, we need this info.
All right.
Regret that it wasn't in the first outline. Other people provided it. We'd like you to provide it.
Yes, we would. This goes with that. Okay. All right, then, we're into personnel policy, I guess. I did do some looking into what the 40-hour week, or full-time, I should say, in New Hampshire for municipalities. And it can be as low as 30 hours. So,
High as 39, and part-time as high as 39.
okay, maybe you found more conclusive information than my initial search.
I'm sorry about the long paper, but the printer decided I didn't have my margins right, so it chose.
We're gonna have to get a code on that printer to see who's doing what, you know.
I'll do that.
You sure you wanna do that?
Now, this is something he said the other day. Back at ya. All right. So, where would we like to start? Page 1's always an interesting place.
I'm missing 5.
We're missing page 5. I am
That's because they combined
formatting.
together.
Yeah.
Formatting is not correct on this.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, some of what was done with Chuck's initial work didn't lay out.
I gotta find my
Right.
notes.
I know in the first table of content, first label of content, under part 7.
And it's knowing, I
Sir.
didn't change anything in the table of contents yet.
Right. No, I could see, and that was,
Okay.
this was, I'm just pointing out a Scribner's error that I had found in the original. So under Part 7, benefits, it has about 7 or 8 lines down, 7 lines down. Crime victims, I believe. I think that should be crime victims. So that's a little stuff as we go, but that's the only thing I had on, was that a Part 7?
In Part 4, I crossed some stuff out.
Part
I don't know
4.
if you wanna work off the line or not, yeah, I mean, you don't.
We'll go through them, so whoever has anything at the beginning, I'll
Part
work it.
4, I get rid of 3 because you don't do it, so,
Definitions,
recruitment.
I'm trying to see.
I'm under Part 4, pre-employment.
Part 4, definitions of harassment.
Part 4.
Oh, no, Part 4, pre-employment, there we are, okay, I'm with you. Where are you on that now? Recruitment? Did you say recruitment? Did you say recruitment, or?
It's under pre-employment, recruitment, Part 3. Okay. You don't do it.
So you're,
which one are you on?
yeah, what? So he's into the actual document, not the,
Oh,
Yeah, I'm on like page 4. Like,
you got Part 4, says pre-employment.
yeah, no, I'm back in part 1 at this point. I'm not up to part 4. I got stuff on page 1 that I want to talk about.
okay, yeah, let's start at the very earliest, so if we're off the if we're off the table of contents, and let's go to page 1, or part 1. I'll go by part 1, since the pages are messed up. Part 1, Chuck, take it away.
Everywhere where it says town selectmen, I think it should read board of selectmen.
So do you have, paragraphs that you're finding that in?
Yep, second paragraph,
Town select.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5th paragraph.
Oh.
And from some of my prior career days, full-time employees, we defined them as regular full-time, regular part-time.
And
the reason for that is after temporary employee, we need to add something in there about consultants. Not an employee who works on a contract, no benefits except as defined by contract.
Do you wanna add the word regular?
In front of full-time and part-time.
now, Chuck, is this on your first draft?
Yeah, this is the stuff I sent you guys earlier.
Yeah, I've got that here. I've got 3 different documents open in the moment.
Yeah, that's my problem too. I've got notes in each one of them.
All employees on.
The one I sent you, I had done cross-outs and stuff in red. If you
Right.
print it in color.
Right, I did. Okay,
And did you change the 35 to 40?
No, that one I like.
Hmm?
I like that. I did not.
okay, so let me see, on part 1, the 3rd paragraph down, all employees other than elected or certain other appointed officials described by statute are at-will employees. That I do not believe is accurate. You're touching on some of this in your last statement, Chuck, is that, employees, such like our police chief, who's by contract, on that will.
But he's not part of this discussion. Personnel policies for him are only the way we defined it in his contract.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
You know, this would apply to Ian.
Well, this is my problem, 3rd paragraph down, all employees. So, he is an employee of the town, but there's employees like at the library, not to say we're addressing them, and fire chief. There's certain employees that have a right to have a public hearing. there's different rules.
Right,
And
and
they're
for
not
these officers,
necessarily-
it's at will. Library is just cause because it's written under the library RSA.
Right,
Chiefs of police or whoever's under contract, it has to be for breaking a provision of the contract. Everybody else in the world is at will.
well, this says all employees, so I don't.
I would agree.
That's correct. And I would also say, other than elected and certain other appointed officials.
So here's my suggestion on this one, because this is a legal clause.
Right.
Mark this one paragraph, legal review.
I would, and that's what I have written in my original that you sent, is that this is for a legal issue that,
This is a Matt question right here.
yeah, because, I don't even know that this needs to be in the document.
I do, it needs to be there. You need to spell that out.
Well, then if we need to spell it out, I don't like what's there now.
That's why I'm saying we should ask Matt's advice.
Okay, so. All right, now I'm good to move on to part 2, administrative structure. Is there,
Board of Selectmen,
Board of Selectmen has done that one. That.
Now, on R2, while you're at it,
Mm-hmm.
do you want to, for proper implementation of these regulations, or do you want proper implementation of these policies?
I prefer policies.
Because that's what it's called.
So, just saying, of this policy versus these policies? Or these,
Well, it is an overall personnel policy.
so,
Well, if you're gonna make it singular, then you need to change part 1, purpose and goals of policies.
good point.
If you're gonna leave it plural, then you don't need to change 1.
Well, I'm thinking it is singular, but I could be wrong. So, anybody have any thoughts?
I'll vote for singular.
All right,
Then you wanna change purpose and goal of this policy.
correct. Yeah, which is part 3 definitions, second line, after department head in this policy. So that would be inconsistent. Then it has the Board of Selectmen shall fulfill duties. Getting better. All right, are we at the full-time employees? The law was my thing, and that goes to the,
Regular, add the word regular in front of full-time. Change the hours to 40.
okay. And I guess I would like to have the actual legal, this is a legal issue too, in my opinion, just to make sure that we are,
This whole document's gonna be reviewed by legal,
yeah, but
but we can highlight certain key points we wanna make sure we deep dive on.
that's where I am. It's like,
Yep.
you know, pay attention to this, answer that question, that's part of the review. So then part-time employee.
Regular, part-time,
Regular, and
40.
work less than 40. Seasonal. Is that, 40 there again, Chuck? Brian, anybody?
Yeah, I think Brian had it at 40.
Yeah, 'cause
Yep, 40.
Planet's crossed out 35 and 40's in there.
I've gone back to looking at the ones I had put notes on a couple of years ago. So the whole thing is good. All right, recruitment.
Nope,
Are we
not
not-
there.
are we
We're not,
about that?
we're not there
Sorry.
yet.
What do you got next?
After temporary employee,
Yep.
we need a new category, consultant. And wording that I had, something to the effect, not an employee, works under contract, no benefits except as defined by contract.
That you just defined your police chief.
Yeah?
He's a consultant.
Not an
Defined by-
not an employee. He's an employee of the town.
Define your, read your thing for consultant again.
Not an employee, works under contract, no benefits except as defined by contract. And to your point, another category needs to be contracted employees. And this is where I would want legal to give us a one-liner for that.
Okay.
How about employees under contract rather than contracted employees?
Either way, yeah, I'm good.
Because he's really an employee under contract. He's
Yep.
an employee first.
Yep.
But his contract defines his term of employment.
Yep.
I think that also keeps you out of trouble on 102A, which you talk about in his contract even, that he doesn't lose those rights.
Right. Okay. And
That's right.
then, yeah, then 4, so.
All right, because we're good with the anniversary date.
Yep. Wait a minute. Let's see, how did I have that one? Oh, yep, good. For some reason, after all seniority, I had added if any,
Where are you?
under the anniversary date paragraph, Brian.
Oh,
All seniority, if any, for any person stated in these regulations shall begin to accrue with the anniversary date. But I don't, I'm rethinking that, I'm not sure it's needed. Let it go. And then you had, on your copy, Brian, you had struck out paragraph 3.
yeah. You don't do it now, so why put it in there?
I got a couple of those in this document. I have a few of those in this document. Okay. Yeah, because I had a question on 5. It's like, we're doing criminal, we're not doing any drug and alcohol, we're not doing any motor vehicle license. So I'm just, is the way this is worded, meaning you only need to pick any of those 3 that apply to the type of position at the time?
Well, I would change the word shall to may,
Yeah, that's where I've got here, because,
and then it isn't a mandatory requirement.
and then it allows you to pick and choose. what
Perfect.
you do in that line.
Okay,
If we went back to, where did you have under 4.3, available positions would be posted in the workplace and
Just got rid of it.
local media?
No requirement on the law you do that, and you don't do it half the time now. You didn't post Gwen's position when you moved it from contract to employee.
Okay. Any thoughts, anyone else?
You
no,
didn't post.
yeah, I'm good taking it out.
Tom, you want to say?
No, I'm good with it. Taking it out.
Oh, okay.
Okay. All right. In section after 5, selections, what am I saying? Selections.
I just did, it's a grammatical error, but in selection, the next to the last line, the selectmen shall not be required to review all, you got all, you get rid of all the
Yeah, that's
applicants
good.
for a position. It's just a grammatical.
Clean up.
Can we just go back to 3 again? I just keep reading this.
Yeah.
Available position will be posted in the workplace and advertised in local media. I mean, the other, I don't think we need, but we're not gonna advertise the jobs, right?
We haven't, if you're
You
gonna
haven't
put it,
advertised for any job in this?
no, we have, but not all. The thing is, if you put this in here, jobs will be, that means every single time you hire, you gotta do something. And Brian's got a good example. We moved Glenn from contract to employee. We should have, according to this, should have advertised it.
And you've gone into other things where we may have, backfilled a position for like taking minutes on the board.
Yep.
We have now somebody doing cleaning that we didn't put in an advertisement. And, there was somebody else that I think the animal control dog officer, we didn't advertise, so.
It doesn't mean you can't do it.
Right.
It just means you're not obligated by a document.
Advertise
Okay.
for Wesley become general assistant administrator either.
Good point.
You did advertise for her to become deputy town clerk, but I think that's the only position. You actually didn't advertise me, you just waited 10 days.
We did, and we got somebody
Oh,
who
okay.
didn't work out, and then we hot-footed for a replacement. And we found you wandering around the streets of Lee, and there you are.
But there has been a lot of times that you didn't advertise, I don't think, for Ian's position when he became the sergeant.
That could have been a straight-out recruitment, you're right. So the point being is,
We don't do it, so let's get it out of there.
Doesn't mean we can't do it. It just means we wouldn't be obligated by the document.
hey,
Sorry, maybe I took too much time.
everything does, you're not alone. $354, RSA 350. Some reason I think that struck a nerve. RSA 354 seems to have struck a nerve with me. So, it was back on maybe the page before. RSA. Discrimination, is that what that was? 354A?
354-A.
What is it? Probably should have looked it up, I didn't.
I did once before, but I don't know what I found, so. Board. Definitions, opportunity of employment, self-discrimination, lawful discrimination. So it's discrimination. I guess it can stay.
What is it? It prevents you from discriminating?
Yeah, it's, Commission for Human Rights.
Yeah, I did look that up, I saw it.
I just,
Cause you talk about it later in the process too, come to think of it.
alright, sorry. Have we gone down through selection process may include, all that's good with everybody?
I'm into nepotism.
Nepotism, I bet you are.
I want to add legally adopted children to the paragraph that lists the laundry list of immediate family.
Where are you, John?
Under nepotism,
Yeah.
Number 2.
paragraph that deals with the definition of immediate family members.
Please, spouse, brother, sister,
I
parent.
want to add legally adopted children.
Why?
Wouldn't that be children?
That's children.
Um,
There's no differential at all in the state's eyes.
Once you adopt them,
I do
they
know
are
that.
your children.
okay.
Yeah.
Actually, I think that's the federal wording of nepotism.
Okay. It's cool. Okay, cool.
I'm pretty sure, cause I think it was in all the stuff I had to deal with all the time with paint runners.
Works for me.
Okay. We're on part 5, employment policies and
procedures? Well, now, before you get there, because the snippets is, okay, I'm all right with it, to employees who become married.
Yeah, I'm just reading that on the back of it.
I wanna make sure I went to the right page.
It says employment will not cause, and then it stops.
Do not cause, and then you go a couple pages ahead. I said the formatting is not good, go to the top of the page.
Okay.
So where's the next one we're at? I got a question under 5, compensation.
Okay, go for it.
First paragraph.
Yep.
Will be paid every week, got that? Paychecks are available, which guarantees they're gonna be available on a Friday. And monthly compensation guarantees it's paid on a Friday.
I saw the Friday.
Can we do a May or something that basically if something comes up and you can't physically do it, you haven't violated it?
Will usually be available?
With the intent to pay on Friday or something like that?
Barring any unforeseen circumstances.
Or you could even add that as the last line on there. It will be paid except in unforeseen circumstances or something like that. I'm just,
Yeah, trying to cover.
I think you probably need to leave it.
as it is.
Yeah, I think there's
Okay.
the one thing that bothers me in that is you always want to be locked into every week. Probably that's all right, not that you can change the policy. I want to ask a question though, because Deanna said that she would be happy being paid weekly. Now this allows it to happen.
Yeah.
You guys got any?
We don't care.
Heard about that?
Why would we care? I don't even know why she's bi-weekly.
Because she's elected and somewhere along the line,
Say
some board somewhere decided elected officials get paid monthly. So that's Lori, Deanna, you guys.
We get paid?
I would, I would make her the one
exception.
exception because
And this allows me to do it, I just
Yeah.
happened to think of it,
I'm
and I
good.
wanted to make sure you guys don't have any.
she's never mentioned anything. I mean, I hear things coming up
That's okay. We got it
regularly
covered.
now that are like,
Check.
why don't you
This
tell us?
question came, I'll tell you why it came up, because
Yeah.
when I was researching, payroll companies, payroll services, both Paycheck and, ADP charge an additional fee for monthly payments, and they set it on different schedules.
Yeah.
I looked at that, and it was gonna cost more money. So I went and asked Deanna if she would have heartburn if she got paid weekly versus monthly. She said, I'd rather. I said, okay. But the problem then comes up if we do it, we're still, we're gonna give like Terry a $6 check a month or so, a week or something like that, which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to know if it was okay if the monthly person wanted to be paid, the highest paid monthly person wanted to be paid weekly.
Well, that's it. She's the only elected official who really kind of works in a capacity that it's really her job, her main source of income, I guess is the way to put it.
And this doesn't prevent me from doing it. I just wanted to make sure there was not going to be any heartburn that I did something
No.
contrary.
If it makes her life easier to, fine.
Well, talk about it, and if she'd like it, we'll change it to that.
Okay.
Do we need to add anything about, how it's paid? paper check and or direct deposit if available.
Well, that's the other thing.
And where are you looking at that?
No, it'd be added to the same paragraph.
I would, one of the things I wanted you to do is remove where it says paychecks are available every Friday.
Yeah,
Just pay is available every Friday.
got it. That's perfect, that'll cover it.
Nice. Okay, let me see, employees paid, no, paychecks.
So pay, can we add pay is intended to be available every Friday?
Okay.
Pretty good, huh?
I'm sorry, Chuck, I was,
No, I was looking for my little out clause that it wasn't a guarantee. Pay is intended to be paid every Friday? Or no?
I have no heartburn either way. What I'm trying to prevent, and I only have had one person be obnoxious about it, but I'm trying to prevent the person that comes in the door and gives Christine or Gwen a hard time on Thursday because they want their check right now, and I've always got it right now.
Typically, paychecks are typically available every Friday.
Yeah.
Typically.
No, I'd say paychecks. I leave it just the way it is. Paychecks are available, pay is available on Friday.
Okay.
On Fridays. Not every Friday, just on Fridays.
Okay.
And then, what about the last line? Monthly compensation will be available. Compensation isn't a paycheck because there's two different terminologies.
Yeah, I'd say monthly pay will be available the first Friday of every month.
Okay. Good.
Should we put somewhere on here where it might be down the road, so we don't have to change this again about maybe direct deposit?
Well, that's why I'm using the word pay, because it's.
Pay includes whatever mechanism.
Yeah, but I'm eliminating that problem just by using pay and get rid of it.
You don't have to add in a whole bunch of additional words.
So what you're saying, pay will be available every Friday?
Pay is available every Friday.
Okay. A paycheck is no longer a word, pay.
That's right, I'm just getting rid of check on the end of the pay. That way we can do it electronically if we decide to go that way.
The next one down. Go ahead, sorry.
Are you still on compensation?
Yeah, I was going to the next paragraph.
Okay.
Employee starting wage will be negotiated by the Board of Selectmen and or their department head.
Yeah, I think that, Board of Selectmen should be first.
Well, they are really, because whoever the department head is has to get prior approval from the board.
Well,
You
I think putting the Board of Selectmen
and or department head.
and or the department head, because the department head may not necessarily have anything to do with it, because basically with the selectmen are the ones who hire.
I would say the starting wage rate will be set by the Board of Selectmen at the time.
That would be fine,
Perfect. I like that even better.
yeah.
I
don't think the department head really needs to be, quite frankly, that we're not obligated to take that input. Hopefully those who sit here would, but we'll have some when relevant.
Ready for the next paragraph? Last line, employees shall be eligible for performance merit increases.
Okay,
Performance merit. Oh, yeah, you're right. May. Good.
Can I get back up just a little bit?
Sure.
Decisions to grant merit increases shall be made by the Board of Selectmen
Oop,
on an annual basis, utilizing A rather than V.
Yep. Good. What's that last one you said, Brian?
I said, it's under compensation.
Yeah.
The last paragraph,
Mhm.
second line,
Mhm.
change the performance evaluation to a performance evaluation.
Okay.
Now, under evaluation, you've got this evaluation shall directly relate to the employee's position and job description and the employee's performance in that position. One, you don't have good job descriptions. And two, your evaluation you're using now is a generic evaluation for every position. It's not directly related to the employee's position.
I would leave it because we can grow into these things. I think the evaluation shall be directly related to the employee's position and job description. Job descriptions can be forthcoming, and you've got the position anyway. But yeah, we could do better on descriptions and the employee's performance in that position. I think it could stay because I think it's something that could be caught up to.
Well, we've actually got some samples of the old.
The other thing that I just want, that basically, because you're so small, means you need to create a performance evaluation specific to every employee. It isn't like you got 25 cops, so you can use the same performance evaluation on all 25 of those employees. I don't care which way it is, but this way you have to develop a specific one for each employee. And I just want you to think about that. I don't care if you want to leave it, but.
Well, I'm not sure it says that. The evaluation shall directly relate. Right now, it directly relates because it's your attendance and the various things that we're using as a criteria would fit. If you want
But you're supposed to be doing it against their job description. We don't have good job descriptions right now. So it's not just showing up for work.
Right.
It's, here's your job description. As part of that, it's showing up for work.
Right.
But we don't have a mechanism right now to do that. We can't use that as part of the performance piece. I understand where Brian's coming from. I don't want to obligate us for something we're not doing.
Well,
And the thing is quite frankly, I don't know for the rest of this year if you have time to do all that.
well, that's what I'm saying, is we don't have time to do it, or is it the most hot button item that we're dealing with? I'm thinking that our evaluation sheet could probably be more encompassing as we go, for any kind of job description that needs to be, capture those more salient points of a job description. So the job descriptions are here and the evaluation to fit them. I just wouldn't change it. I think we would get there.
Okay.
That's just me. I mean, I want to hear what Chuck has to say and Tom and you, and I just don't know that it's really an issue, because if we grow up and start putting language to things that are weak, we probably would do
All right.
that.
So
Or maybe we wouldn't.
in the second line where it says this evaluation shall directly, can we change shall to should
May.
or may? Yeah, may. I like
Okay,
that.
yeah. I like May where most shells are.
Yep, good. Okay. I'm good with it then.
I'm a little bit doing self-preservation here, because I've been criticized for not keeping up with the budget this morning, and I want to make sure I don't get so much work given to me that I get criticized for something else.
Well, you laid out your disclaimer, and I'll make sure that the Budget Committee Chair is fully apprised of your position. I don't know what's under the mask, but his eyes are laughing.
Sorry, Dave, I couldn't read.
All right, so we made it out of, so were we in disciplinary actions?
Yeah, I didn't have anything in here. I was surprised, but I didn't.
I really love the one at the end of that whole thing. The town is not obligated to follow these steps. Thank God for a catch-all. Use of drug and alcohol. Highly recommended in this environment. What do you think? Okay.
Now, do you wanna keep the town is not obligated to follow these steps? Cause I think your lawyer will take it out of there.
Well, we'll get a new lawyer. Are we into smoking? Moving on.
Are we taking that out or leaving it in?
Oh, I would leave it in. I don't know how good it would hold up in court, but
Which one are we talking?
The one that you had highlighted to take out.
I was kinda cranking.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
I like that one because, you know, you're an at-will, so it really kind of fits, but maybe.
A personnel file, I had this highlighted.
Yeah, I had this one.
Yeah, can we, before you get into that one, smoking one? Go ahead.
Christie and I had a talk about this the other day, and we're gonna change something. It appears now, each one of us has a file in the drawer where when we receive a paycheck, whether it be the selectman, me, anybody else, a copy of that pay stub goes in there. But also, all of your social security information and everything else is in that file, that shows your employment, your records, a disciplinary, all that stuff is in the same file. I think that that's improper management of employees' records. And so what I directed Chris to do was to remove that information from the pay stub file and begin to establish just a personnel file that's then kept under separate key, out of the open files that can be used for discovery. And then I just did.
Well, and under right to know law that just passed, the entire employee personnel file is open for right to know. So you're taking the social security and other pertinent information out of that?
Yeah.
Is appropriate, because if the file becomes a right to know, you don't wanna have any of that stuff in there.
Actually, disciplinary action should come out of that, because if there is a lawsuit, you wanna be able to have people go through levels of discovery, which the court will say that they mandate, rather than just have someone come in and say, I wanna see the file on Brian Burke. And that get everything that has ever happened, including the hiring process, everything. And I think that's a mismanagement of human.
But under the right to know that just changed this weekend, it sounded like all that is open.
Well,
Any disciplinary actions you had, it's all gonna be available,
yes.
unless it's under attorney
Well,
seal,
but
right?
You can look at redacting certain items from that file.
Okay.
If it's in the file, even under the court ruling that came out this week. If it's, and I think that court ruling may get some modification, because a couple of defense attorneys have asked for reconsideration rather than the state. So I think there might be some modification, but regardless of that, I'm sure Matt would tell you to keep all that stuff in the same file, you're crazy. And you never used to. I don't know when it changed, but Collins, I had to go back into the personnel files when you guys asked for the contract that Collins had. And there were separate personnel files, all the pay stubs and stuff were not in that same file.
Well, just to go back to your point, your original point about sensitive information that you wouldn't want to have disclosed being in there. I have never seen that. You know, you never put social security and all that fun stuff, and so that should be out. And if it's a personnel file for that employee's performance and so forth in this setting, that's fine, to me. If there was a warning in there for something, I'd say that might be something you want to redact or remove and let them go to court to get that. I don't know, but I'm hung up on the fence on that.
It said, when I was reading it this weekend, it said disciplinary documents would be available.
and I'm not hung up on not providing that.
But I
all
agree with
that other
Brian.
information.
But,
I'm not either, but I think it should be a separate,
Yep.
in a separate folder for the personnel,
Yep.
rather than just paycheck stubs.
Yeah, no, all the stuff that would have sensitive information that could be taken advantage of should not be in the personnel file. Because anybody, and this is without being open to the world, any selectman or anybody who wants to look at that for whatever reasons that it's gonna be applied, that information is not necessary to be in there. That doesn't help anybody, it doesn't do anything for the process, and people should be protected. That's all. I'm good with cleaning that up.
I just wanted to bring you up to speed that we're doing that, so.
This is the point where I get to tell you that I have never gone in snooping into people's personnel files in all my time being in here, and we had a selectman once who wanted to go in to a file for an employee, and the other selectman in office, the person in your position, wouldn't allow it. Now, clearly, seems like this person had a right to, but they were probably trying to protect some of the other information. And me, personally, being in the audience, my belief at the time, and I believe it to this day, was to go in there and access information for not the best reasons. So we don't want to have things that could be.
You also got, some employees, you got HIPAA
Sure.
information that is protected information. So that ought to be in that file, so that if someone makes the request, you can go through and look specifically at stuff that either ought to be redacted or there is no right to know involved in it.
And maybe those pieces of information, if they're in the personnel file and need to be weeded out, maybe there should be some kind of color code or stamp that depicts that that is something that shouldn't get passed on, so it doesn't accidentally get handed out.
Let me get it out of the folder with the pay stubs first.
yeah,
Whatever, but your pursuit here is to
Yep.
clean that up. I fully endorse. Tom, you?
No, I think we should be out of there.
All right. Let's keep killing the clock. Where are we?
smoking. I'd like to add a last line. All smoking outside of buildings must be greater than 10 feet from a doorway or window.
I'm with me.
Well, 10 feet?
10 feet.
So backing up the personnel files, halfway through there, the lower portion really kind of talks to what Brian was getting at, I think. There is kind of a separation, so
And do we need to kind of mark this one for deeper review by Matt based on any of the recent court laws, court changes?
I don't know. I think I would probably go with common sense, at least. My personal view is to let Brian, weed
Okay.
that through, and then any HIPAA or sensitive information is usually pretty easy to
No,
pick out.
I know. But when Matt's reviewing this, do we just want to flag that paragraph as to
Okay,
look at that a little deeper, just to make sure based on recent
sure, that doesn't
court
hurt.
history?
I think what I'm going to probably do is leave personnel file the way it's written, because some of that stuff, but definitely take out payroll records. Because they'll be in an open file.
Yeah, payroll records don't really need to be included. I mean, doesn't mean they wouldn't, but I see why they would. All right. Whistleblower protection?
That actually pretty much follows the federal rule.
And since nobody in the Congress and Senate are following it anyway, is it even relevant anymore? Did that part of the Constitution survive the flames?
I have to say, rehire policy is kind of convoluted, but it's okay.
Do we have, well, I've got a note on here, do we have to add anything that former employees must complete a background check? Or because of hiring, they would automatically meet the previous?
Well, it's a May anyway. May, your background checks were in May.
You know, I don't know if you really need to do background check on every single employee.
Right.
That's what I'm asking. If so a rehire, we've already covered under the may do all this stuff previous? We don't have to have anything special here is where I'm going with it.
I don't think so. Look at a transfer station operator and you decide to rehire him. Do you care that he had a misdemeanor for DWI? I don't think that's gonna do anything for, why do we care about that? Now, if you're gonna hire someone that.
No, a rehire.
Yeah, if you're gonna rehire someone that's gonna handle money on a regular basis, yeah, I wanna know.
Which is my point. So, do we need to add anything specific here that,
I think the May is.
well, the other one covers it? Okay, good, that's all I wanted.
Because it doesn't mean you have to, but it means you can if you want to.
Okay. My next one is under closings.
Is under who?
Emergency closings. I wanted to add clarity, maybe even in a new line 1. The town will normally follow the Governor Wentworth Regional School District inclement weather school closing policy, which is what we decided to do this past winter.
Okay, let's see. You are, what is language? Yeah.
So you wanna put what in? What's this?
Add a new front line. The town will normally follow the Governor Wentworth Regional School District inclement weather school closing policy
For the town.
on behalf of the town. Because that's what we're doing right now. Schools are closed, we're closed.
Well, I don't wanna put that in there, and I'm not sure that I'm on board with that as a practice, but I'm not sure, I'm open to a lot of discussion on this, because I'm not sure I wanna tie in with them. And, because I'm not sure, like, they call off school because they think a storm's gonna come, and it doesn't hit. And our folks are here and they can come in. I don't know.
Well, I could.
That's why I said, will normally, not shall.
It isn't really needed then, I guess, I don't know.
Well, that was the whole discussion that came up this winter. What policy do we follow?
Yeah.
Follow the school closing policy. That's what we did this previous season. And I'm okay if we want to come up with something different, except it's got to be standardized enough that people can figure it out.
Tom, you had something you were gonna say?
No, I was just going on questioning the school closing, because like you brought up more or less about, looks like it's gonna snow, cancel school, and it doesn't. But, like, we could have a selectmen meeting on Tuesday, the snow could stop by 8 o'clock in the morning, even though they just canceled school. All the roads are fine, we could still have a selectmen meeting at,
Because normally they'd come in,
you know, if we were doing them at night or whatever.
We're a different animal anyway.
Yeah.
We're available 24/7.
and then, you know, how would that affect the transfer station guys? Because they're coming in no matter what the school's gonna do, say, because that's maybe the nature of the breed, and they come in.
Not this past season. School was closed, they were closed.
Right.
I'm okay doing something. We just need to standardize something.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Because unless somebody's gonna take the calls at 4 o'clock in the morning, like, okay, are we closed today or not?
Right.
And that's not gonna be my phone number.
I don't, off the top, and this hasn't got a lot of thought through it yet. I don't think I'm really like in aligning with the school. You know, school buses and little kids traveling, that's one thing. You know, does that, apply to us with adults going to work? Maybe not. I mean, school's closed, I went to work. I don't know if that's the right tone or thought process to take, I don't know. Dave, I see your eyes looking like you wanna chime in, you have a thought you wanna share? Okay, hard to tell without the mask there, with the mask on, so.
I got 4-wheel drive.
I don't know. So you're gonna go pick everybody up, bring it in. So you think?
I kind of feel the same way Mike does, about sometimes the school closes when there is no emergency. But I also understand Chuck's position and agree there's gotta be some kind of a standard. Now, Mike wants to get out of bed at 4 o'clock in the morning and drive around and see if he thinks it ought to be called off every time.
Let me tell you, if it's snowing, Mike is driving around out there at 4 in the morning. Well, you know, one of the things that I think we've left open here is for the individuals that work here, because they're usually pretty dedicated and responsible, to kind of make that decision. And if people aren't comfortable coming in, I have supported that in the past, because, you know, if you're not comfortable going down the road, it's a snowstorm, whatever, pretty much on board with that you're making a good decision.
And when you have part-time people, that's probably okay. But who makes the decision that I don't have to come in and I get paid, but Christine does come in and gets paid?
Well, you read further into that paragraph and addresses that issue. They will have to draw it from vacation time.
But
I'm not sure that's the right way of doing it.
you know, I'm just, and I picked, I might not come because I live so far away, and it's a longer drive, and there might be more snow in Wakefield trying to get through than there is on either side. I don't know. I just feel, I always felt uncomfortable, and I always argued back, you know, they would give a snow day to the town employees and not have to come in. Oh, the cops had to come in, you gotta pay them time and a half overtime now.
What a world we live in.
Because they didn't get the benefit. Yeah, and that's always a hassle, and I made them pay it. Now, you don't have, the cops are still an issue. You got one cop that's an issue still, because he's an hourly employee by statute. And so you give off, part of the town employees give them off. That person technically should get time and a half pay if they're working.
You don't need to work then.
But
so my thing
and
is,
for the cops, and we had it also because your road people, you don't have that here. But as you develop it, you want to be careful, because all of that now you have to pay time and a half overtime to.
developing is a long way away for this town, probably, for those concerns. So let's break this down to Deanna's office. Doesn't work for us, and so she's going to have latitude on deciding whether she's opening today or not, and who's getting paid in that office or not. She's salary, so that ends that for her, so it's between her and her employee. So that puts it to the 3 people who work for us here or the transfer station. So I would think somebody needs to be able to make the call, and I think at that point, I would probably be looking to the person who holds your position to make that decision as whether or not people should come in or not.
The problem that exists with that, Mike,
Right.
is I'm in Lee, New Hampshire. I look out the door and it's raining. I have no idea that you got a half a foot of snow building up on the roads here.
So there again, I still think it would be that person. Now your position, your situation is temporary. The next person is likely to be closer
Okay.
to the
I'll buy into
the
that.
scene. The other thing I would say is that in your position right now, you go through this winter and you're still a town administrator here, you might call up and have a point of contact, in which case likely that might be me, because most likely I'm up I'm out in the snow, 3, 4 in the morning, I'm probably out. So at that point, you could call me or text me and say, text me if I don't pick it up, call me, and what's the condition? And at that point, you could be directed to make your judgment call. I give you what I know, whatever you want to do. There's snow, there's 6 inches. Otherwise, I don't know that we have a really good handle on what to do here.
Well, I'm uncomfortable with this wording. It says, the Board of Selectmen, every time we have a weather event, are gonna make a decision and let everybody know. And,
Or their designee.
okay,
Well, that way, if the office, if Brian is the designee of the town administrator, a contact, you know, if we're gonna have a contact list, we should have that, a list to email or respond to whomever, all the employees.
The other, and I'm gonna speak now to the Governor Wentworth School District policy, also gives your town residents knowledge of whether the town is gonna be open and functioning, and whether they need to drive down here and conduct town business. I think that trying to split up the offices makes that more difficult for the people that live in town to know whether selectmen are open, but the town clerk isn't. Town clerk's open, but the selectmen aren't. One of the things that we went to the 8 to 2 consistency was people could come in and do their work and also know when we're open. If we have a policy that says, and we might pick something else, but if we have a policy that says when the Governor Wentworth School District is closed, town offices are closed, that means people can listen to the radio, see the town offices, school district's closed, so I don't need to drive down and try to register my car there because there's nobody there today. That's the other side, the flip side of the argument.
The other side of the coin to your argument is, before you drive down, hopefully in a snowstorm, you have the common sense to call and see what services are available.
When a COVID-19 case is on, they don't have the common sense to do that, so.
Well, this is an education, you know, work in progress for this. I think you call, I wouldn't drive to the hardware store in a snowstorm because they've got my project going if I didn't call the hardware store and say, you guys open? So I and if the town clerk's office is who you want to be down there to see, I think there's a certain amount of personal responsibility in that choice. I think on the other hand, if we had if you could have a call, like I do one of the businesses I plow for, they have a message, granted there are schools, so they reach out to individual parents apparently, and they let them know there's a school delay or they're closing, what have you. And by 6 in the morning, I get that. 6 in the morning, they send out a thing that says the day it's been decided. We have a limited number of employees. Is that sent in a text message? Is it sent in a email if we needed to communicate that way? I'm open to how we can use technology to solve the problem here. I'm a little leery to tie into another entity to tell us, to dictate our day. I think that maybe that's what's bugging me.
Large volume of our families in town have kids in the school. They're already tied in.
The school.
No, this is a standardized process. Nothing is gonna work 100% all the time anyway. Okay, so last year we had a storm or two where it didn't storm when they thought it was gonna. Okay, 1 or 2 times over the course of 365 days.
Well, the course of 6 days, 6 or 8 days. How many days has it snowed?
Well, you know, the more we're discussing this, the more I'm coming back around to the school thing. And it seems like it's just a set moment of time.
Well, you watched the Facebook last year.
Oh, I know.
Is the town office open or closed? I don't know.
I wish I had an answer
Closed
for
the town open? I don't know.
What happens now if these folks decide to come in?
They can come in if they want to.
I'll tell you what, I think before we settle this, maybe we should get some input from the people who, Deanna especially, you know, what she would like to see.
Okay.
Just because, yeah, I'm always a big believer.
That's cool. That was last winter's discussion. That's why we came up with the school district.
So why don't we,
Is she here?
I don't know, but why don't we table it for now, move on so we get something else done here, and then we'll come back to this. We'll just return. Somebody keep notes to come back to this. Because I'm open to really go wherever it needs.
Yeah,
I'm actually gonna leave you here pretty soon, because you got a selectmen's meeting tomorrow, and I
Yep.
gotta do a manifest and bill.
Didn't we have somebody coming in at 2? Oh, so you got work to do.
You have someone coming in too?
Tomorrow, okay.
Tomorrow, not today.
All righty.
I got a historical meeting tonight.
Now, I deleted your email, Paul, because 1, you're not following it, and 2, you don't have one. you're not following what's here and you don't have one. But this one says the town provides email services for its employees.
Sure does. Everybody's got an email address,
What
generic or otherwise.
what I think we need to do is we need to let Chuck, Teresa, and maybe myself develop an email policy which is separate from the personnel policy.
And if we get the right one, we can always add it back in at another point.
Yeah, but I don't know if your email policy should be part of your personnel policy.
It is in every place I've worked, yeah. But I agree with you, it needs, none of this applies right now.
This one doesn't.
No.
Okay, so you're gonna strike this, but leave the heading email policy as a placeholder? Does that work?
Yeah.
Okay.
Under revision, under construction.
Just leave email policy blank, and the question will always be asked. What do you have that? Yeah, oh, damn, we never got that done. All right, internet policy. Oh, God, email policy wasn't enough.
I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good all the way down to cash handling, and if there's anything on cash handling, I think we're gonna need to revisit, because it's gonna be a bigger discussion. But that's just me, anybody else wanna weigh in?
Yeah, we actually have a cash handling policy.
Yeah, and that's why I think it's a bigger discussion, because Brian doesn't think that this one is good in here. I don't think the one that's been put together makes me happy. So rather than get bogged down in this today, I think in an effort to keep it moving, we return to these two items, because this could just eat up too damn much time.
Well, I wanna take this one out, because this one's contrary to the policy we have in place right now.
Yeah, I wanna keep this in and throw the other one away. See,
I don't.
It's gonna take a lot more time.
Yeah, but as I'm saying, at this point in time, I'd rather put it out under discussion, because we actually have a policy which we voted on that's in place today, contrary to this.
That's why I say, could we come back to it and try to work through some more of the things we can agree on, and then come back to have another.
Okay.
Because we're gonna end up stopping right here, I think, because we're just.
Well, I'm ready to stop anyway, because I wanna get something to eat.
All right, and, where are we, action. When's vacation times, that's how far down is that, not page 19 maybe? Yeah. All right. Why don't
We
we
just schedule time for next week, and we'll just chop on this.
and we'll talk about it tomorrow night, tomorrow day, and schedule our work sessions accordingly. We got follow-up stuff to do. Works for me. How about you, Mr. Hart?
Yep, I'm good.
Brian, thank you for the effort on that, because I know how much that was.
Sorry about the formatting, but.
No,
All right.
that works. It's good.
Anybody working on your junkyard list? Okay.
Yep.
I had personnel alarm in cemetery for today.
Okay. I just got a contact following up. I've got some legal stuff to do with, an administrative warrant. I just had some But he was supposed to give you or us a statement, haven't got that yet, so I've been sending information out.
Say that again, Mike?
I've been contacting an individual who placed a complaint, so I've been waiting for, information for an administrative warrant kind of thing.
Oh,
And that person has been non-responsive until just a moment ago throughout the weekend.
I got a note here that says, who sent Quarterly answer question?
Who
I
sent
know
what?
what that is, I'm supposed to do.
Quarterly what?
Say it again, please.
Huh?
Say it again.
Who sent Quarterly answer question? Is that is it supposed to be the ambulance that sends the Quarterly report?
Yes.
Okay.
So, and their quarter isn't done until the end of this month, but they were sending a monthly report by choice, which we discussed early.
I'm gonna call Waste Management about the turnbuckle and the trucking.
Yeah.
And I'm supposed to get a list of permitted stop signs.
Yeah, I'd like to know, we gotta start digging into this stuff and finding out,
Signage.
because the answer I'm getting over here is not cutting it. So, if everything's a problem to enforce, then I don't need them. Just don't need them. So either we're gonna be able to have things enforced, or,
Well, you gotta make sure you got your I's dotted and your T's crossed so you can enforce it.
well, the thing is, we've had this department for 17 years. Getting a little late in the day to find out, well, we never looked into that, we didn't enforce this, we
Well-
didn't enforce that.
That's one of the reasons we have a new chief.
Well, this is the third one, so let's hopefully get to the bottom of it.
I'll take a hit for it. I was a police chief for 30 years. Probably took 10 years before a defense attorney said, where's the stop sign permit for that stop sign? And I did the old thumb trouble look, because I had absolutely no idea, and the judge went, case dismissed, next case.
I get that, but we now understand that we know there's things out there that we're not too sure of if they can be enforced. And I'm not getting anything back after months. That's kinda like, if we want you to enforce it and you say we can't, it's like, yes, I need something definitive to say, what does it take? And what are you doing to that, see if we can enforce it, because we're these steps done.
Well, yeah, but he's not gonna have the capability to look at the policies and procedures from the past.
Why
Those
not?
files are in here,
Well,
Anywho,
if they exist.
I'll work on it.
No, you said you're gonna call Waste Management on that turnbuckle?
Yeah.
You're gonna ask them, what are they gonna do to correct it?
Yeah.
I wouldn't offer to pay half of, they gotta pick up early. I know what they're gonna do first. You know what I mean? They might come in and,
Now, why is Mark calling them to come pick up? Because it's spilling out?
Yeah.
The problem is it's not hooked right now, so it's finally compacted enough where everything that's going in now is pushing it further away.
pushing the compactor away because it's the clamps, the turnbuckles that hold it in snug.
They didn't install them right.
Okay, I wanna make sure if he starts asking me questions, if
Yeah.
they have kind of
So,
an idea.
you say the dump, it's full now?
No,
Only half full, you say?
he thinks it's near half full,
It can't squeeze.
but he's gotta,
I get
it's
that.
gotta be empty, because it's the only way they can then come back in and hook it back up right,
I don't know if they could come up and push it in right.
because of the way the stuff's spilling out. No.
Right. So we're gonna ask them what they're gonna do to correct this fall, and not offer to pay half of the hauling fee, just.
Let's find out what they're willing to do.
Right,
You guys screwed up. How
exactly,
you gonna make it right?
that's what I'm getting to.
Well, why don't I let one of you guys call?
Tom's good at that.
You saying I'm combative?
Oh, you wanna take care of that, Tom?
I'll take care of it.
Just don't forget to tell them to go through trucking on Champion Hill.
Did you set your notes or in a
You got his number, right, Tom?
the, heating and air conditioning situation,
The guy never came up and called me last week. He was gonna try and get up late in the week. He also has a quote for me, So he's on my to-do list for this afternoon.
Okay, because I was gonna say, are we getting to the point where we might need to put this out to bid? And considering the AC is probably gonna put us over the 15 grand, we theoretically should, you know, by the policy, put it out to bid.
I'm not sure if the two
Separate?
like the split, the AC is separate, the heat is separate,
Okay.
because it might be that way, because
Companies are different.
we end up going split system if this is too much,
Okay.
right? I don't know.
Are you planning on putting in horsepower heat
Oh, no.
versus, or are you gonna stay with the?
Oh, phase four.
Stay with this.
Okay, so I don't know how you cool with the same.
You need split, but there was talk around a new ductwork in this drop ceiling here. But,
It'd be cheaper for mini split. Put one here, put one on the other side.
well, I haven't got a price on that combination with running the duct or mini splits with the hot water system.
The fact that we'll have to take down the ceiling and all the insulation, run the ductwork and put it back up, I'll bet you
Oh,
it'll
yeah,
be cheaper.
I just can't sit here and say.
There was one heat there. Come back with your proposal.
Exactly.
Well, that was the conversation. We didn't know if we needed to tie these things together, if they were gonna be tied together, or they're gonna be separate. Separates would work out for all of what we're doing. And then it's back to the drawing board and chasing people down for the heating. So. I did have a copy with me, just so you know, of the, Effingham's ambulance report.
Is this, monthly or the
This is-
year to date or?
This is the monthly, because June will be the quarterly, end of June.
We got it.
Are they with the third highest use?
Yes.
That's not good.
Are we the third most populated?
No. Madison comes before us, and then Freedom is a slight tick up, but we're very close in size to Freedom.
And Ossipee bigger than us.
The Ossabee's the biggest. Ossipee, big jump down, Tamworth, then Madison, then jump down to Freedom, and us. We're very close to Freedom in size.
But Freedom is more than we are,
A little bit more, I believe, yeah.
and their population is about the same.
Yes. Well, they're less than we are on the report. Their
Population is
right.
a little more,
And they were just a whisker more, call volume in the past than us. We usually run pretty neck and neck with them, and that's not the case.
got heat part of it.
Yes, but they're such a minor part. They're like not even a percent of the overall. They split with the, North Conway covers a bunch of that stuff, and they're very small. So we don't expect to see too much out of them.
And all big things part of it too, or not?
No, just, 6 towns, which is, Eaton, Effingham, Freedom, Madison, Ossipee, and Tamworth. And that's in alphabetical order. Thank you, Chuck, for appreciating that.
All right, motion to adjourn.
Second,
All right,
Hold on.
Al and I, thank you.
Thank you, folks.
gentlemen.